nowadays. Hey, we're in here live, baby.
Yo.
Sit and Politicking. Make sure you subscribe, show some love. We are live over here, so get in the comments. And we're on the podcast over here in the future. So shout out to you guys. Everybody subscribe. Everybody that showed up, whenever you showed up, show some love, spread the love, and thank you for spreading the love just by being here. And I'm here with my man Paul, obviously. Paul B. Balcom on Twitter and Instagram. And then, like, this is something we're going to get right. Fucking another way, it's Balcom B. Paul. Guys, just flip his name around. Flip his name around and you will find him. It's like we never clarify that throughout the week. And I always get to this point and I'm like, damn, I know they go back and forth. But we really just need to get the thing for the podcast just to pop up at the bottom.
That's true.
That's why people never have this issue, because they just are prepared and have it just ready to go. Let me know in the comments, by the way, am I coming through clear? And this is obviously James here, Sit and Politic everywhere. You can follow me on all platforms, Sit and Politic. And we're rolling. So either way, we got a lot of stuff for you here today, a lot of videos to play. We're going to react to Wiggy Wom. Yo, hey, what's happening?
Yo.
Good night.
Good night.
We're going to bring this into the early morning, heavy after a long day of work. Paul, how was your day, by the way, brother? Guys, let me know how you feel.
Hot. It was hot. Every day is hot. Air conditioning is hot.
We're in Florida, by the way. Anybody that doesn't know, anybody just tuning in. But
I will say, man, I had a customer, Kate, today that really put the feeling back into my job, because some days you just hate it. You just hate your life. And then she was so grateful. She was so grateful. It actually made you feel like you're doing God's work.
I love that. Oh, yeah. Right. Well, bro, you are a AC man.
AC man.
Fucking Florida. You are genuinely saving people's lives when you come and fix that air.
Yeah, that is my life.
Hey, shout out, by the way,
13 years.
In the live, we're heavy. We got 20 plus people watching. Show love and subscribe if this is your first time. If this is your first time back, hop in the comments. Let us know. Let's get the algorithm going and shake it up. I appreciate everybody. Like I said, we're trying to be more consistent with this. Definitely, we're trying to give you at least one show throughout the week. So that's going to happen. Shout out from Texas. Southern heat is sweet. Woo. Yeah, that's something we need to have. I'm currently considering selling my house here in Florida.
North Carolina, here I come.
For several reasons. We'll get into all the war topics later. I mean, I don't know how I feel about China pulling up in submarines. Fucking let me get closer to Texas. I'd rather, if I'm gonna get invaded by somebody, I'd rather be invaded by Mexicans. That's just me. That's just how I personally feel. And we all have our personal preferences. It's not racism, it's preferences.
That's a preference. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
I love the distinction.
Distinction is definitely important, and it's not like we're gonna be totally void of Chinese food if we're overran by Mexicans in Texas.
Now, are you on the humid side of Texas? Like you get the humidity like we do? Because Southwest Florida is
hell,
man. It is. You're swimming. You walk outside, you're just fucking swimming. You walk to your mailbox. Sweating.
Oh, let me actually
listen. If it's Friday night and it's 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you got a dinner to go to, you're second guessing getting gas because your shirt's gonna be ruined. You're gonna feel a little bad going to dinner.
No, 100%. I do wonder. I want to ask you, Wiggy, because I mean we don't have many people here that have pulled through Texas, and we've talked a lot about the immigration crisis and shit like that. So I'd love to hear your opinion, actually. Somebody in Texas, a place that's been heavily impacted. It'd be cool to get your perspective for the show. So just curious. And do you approve? Hey, Demir, shout out to you. You just came through and you said, look, all this nice shit. Fuck all the nice shit. You said, do you approve war on Iran by USA? So for us, it's big nose over here, brother. We're big nose, and
I don't want to redo, the 20-year war that we already had.
Yeah. So it feels like a big. We're gonna get into that in detail. I have some videos to react to. We're just kind of bringing it in and talking to the people as we get in here. I was curious about my man Paul here today, but definitely I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but we're both heavily opposed to any kind of real intervention or outright support of whether it be like any material support of those war efforts. I mean, I know I don't know exactly. We've talked about the war in Gaza as well, which is something that's obviously getting overshadowed at this point. We were just coming off people that they weren't letting aid trucks come in and things like that. People were starving reportedly. So it's like now all of the focus, I mean, understandably to a degree, has moved into Iran. But yeah, I mean, so also opposed to that, any kind of like material support there. I mean, the thing is, a lot of times we end up arguing. I know Paul would say for sure Democrat, so I'm not like, I'm not talking out of school to say that. For me, I'm more hesitant to claim that, but I would say usually I'm on the side of the liberal point of view in these kind of things. But I think when we're talking about war, and that's what we were talking about in our group chat, which has a few people who would probably identify as conservatives, you see that kind of commonality. Even people who are like hesitant. Hopefully, Deuce Andretti hops on here tonight. I put the thing in the chat, but yeah, it would be great to see that kind of coalition come together where we can get past all of the, you know, the specifics on economy issues or even immigration, which these issues all matter, and I don't think that we should ignore them like they don't matter. But in reality, it's like some things are just absolutely despicable and unacceptable and that we can't be a part of. And go ahead, Paul. I'm gonna get to these comments, but I want to let you go ahead and say what you have to say. I'm sure.
I agree with you. I'm not pro getting involved with Iran. You already know how I feel about Gaza. It is complete and utter genocide with what's happening there. Then you have people talking about just leveling it and building plazas, and it's like, listen, I'm all about peace. This president was supposed to come in and bring peace. Okay. I'm tired of it. I have an 11-year-old son who's closer to 12 than 11. And I don't need him in 6 years to be having to possibly get sent to war over war that's not fucking ours.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's one of the reasons I like to get this kind of like diversity of perspective. I don't have a son, but I have a daughter. So I still think it's relevant. But I do specifically wonder how people who, you know, have young boys in this world, how they kind of like view these, like what could be long-term interventions. I mean, we know with like Iraq, that's something that we were involved in for 25 years, ended up being basically a majority of our life. Is there anything you want to say before I get into these comments? Let me just go ahead, shout out everybody in the comments. Much love. Just Demir, I love the selfless. He said, give a like, guys. Everybody in the comments, not in the comments, just watching, show some love.
Appreciate it, man.
And also, by the way, I don't want to say some crazy conspiracy brain.
Go ahead,
but when I was making the fucking title for this, I specifically was like, originally I had Israel in the title. I don't want to talk crazy, guys. Everybody here, show some love. Come on. But there are times that we'll go live and it's like fucking 0 people for fucking hours. I was like, come on now. Right now we got 44 people in the chat. Much love. Today I was like, you know, let me not put Israel in the title. Let me tiptoe around the specific words Israel. I'm not gonna say anything outside of that. You know, everybody think whatever you want to think about that scenario.
But we know where the breadcrumbs are leading.
But I've been trying to figure out where the fucking shadow band fucking mines are. And I might have kind of found something going on here, but either way, my bad. Demir, he said bravo. That was in relation to just how we against the Iran thing, which I think
agreed.
Fair, yeah. Bravo for anybody that's kind of going to hold the ground there. And like I said, I hope it's a larger coalition than we think. Got a like for me. No reason for us. Military should fight other wars, especially when Israel started it. 100%. I mean, and like I said, even materially, like I think at a certain point, where I understand the position as far as like wanting to take a stance against nuclear weapons in Iran, that's what the whole fucking negotiations were about, though. So it's like, I don't like this like either or. It's like, well, we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, so we have to go in there. And that's right now what they're trying to kind of like get out there and get the American people behind, is that kind of like sentiment. In reality, the original nuclear deal, that was the whole plan behind that, which got torn up by Trump. Yeah. So I mean, at that point, I mean, now we're trying to like basically undo old wounds that we opened ourselves. Let me just run through here again because I know that we got a conversation. Got a like for me, no reason. So yes, agreed. Wiggy said, I've always lived in South Texas. Mexicans here for not want immigrants from places that are not Mexico, just the way it is. In group preferences and all that, Biden era immigrants were not Mexican. Okay. Hey, that's interesting perspective. And I respect that. As somebody that lives in the community and stuff like that, I think that's interesting perspective. I'd like to hear more on it. And then Wiggy also said, war won't always stay over there. That's the problem with Americans today. we don't realize how vulnerable we are. And I agree with that. But the thing is, Wiggy, that's why I would, and that's why I would say that we should be involved. I don't agree with the isolationist kind of theory of we shouldn't be involved. Everything has to stay here in America. We should pay no attention anywhere.
Right.
That's a place where I've even found common ground on the no war thing. But then I've had some issues with some of my conservative friends where if they're anti-war, it's for the reason of like, we shouldn't be fucking with it at all, only be worried about America and all this. That point of view, I think, is more in line with what you're saying here, where it's like, hey, war won't always stay over there. Mm-hmm. I agree. War won't always stay over there. That's why we can't tarnish these relationships. We can't tarnish world trust. And I understand that's already been done. And now when you have the Iran peace talks, that during that we had a strike from Israel, which Israel's even saying basically like, yeah, America knew, and we have some videos on all this kind of stuff that we'll get into. But I think that's definitely not the way. If anything, that's a way to bring to direct involvement by America. Right. Like I said, where now it's like we're a actor in this, that there has to be some kind of, I don't want this, but I'm saying like now this is provoking some kind of direct attack on us, not on our allies,
which
or whatever.
Which is what Iran is saying. And sure. and let's be frank, it's almost as if Trump has had a hard on for Iran since his last term. I mean, he only airstruck a general, so over a Twitter beef. So this has been a thing. It's all shady. It's all smelly. We're obviously involved. Then the Penthouse or White House come out, the Pentagon or White House, one of them came out and went ahead and denied our involvement. Yeah. And as we get into later, we find out, nope, actually, yeah, we were involved. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I don't know what that brings.
Can I suggest something? And I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think about this, but I do think it's something to think about. The position that Trump's in, where either, because they had peace talks scheduled for like this Sunday, which are obviously canceled now because these attacks happened. And there's this theory that they were used to basically cause Iran to have a false sense of security, that there wasn't going to be any kind of direct attacks. And America now is directly linked to that. And I do think they're essentially claiming, which is crazy to say this, but our government is basically like taking credit for that in a sense. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's kind of hard to see how we completely backtrack out of that, because Trump's in this position where he admits to his base and just the American people, hey, Israel, I told Israel to wait on that, because Israel, remembers, initially was saying that our talks directly with Iran were undermining them in ways. Yep. So in this instance, they could either go with Israel just went ahead and attacked and said, fuck what we have to say. Or they can say, which is now kind of the posture that they're taking, which is, no, we were looped into it, and Iran now the stance is like heavy. Iran can't have nuclear weapons. That's the talking point. Anytime the president has the opportunity to speak. And just Wiggy real quick. Hey, Demir, much love. He said, I have to go to work. Keep up the good work. Hey, give us a follow, Demir, because I'd love to get with you sometime in politics. You seem like a solid dude, so I appreciate all the love, and have a good time at work if that's possible. I hope you have a job that you enjoy.
Don't make that money.
And then Wiggy said Iran most likely already has nukes. I mean, I don't know. Right now, they're saying that they're enriching nukes to the point to be weaponized. Tulsi Gabbard was saying that they were, I think, 12 months out or something like that. This is a significant amount of time out to where it's not like an imminent. Heard this story before. Yeah, not an imminent threat. Wiggy hit us with a big comment, so I'm definitely gonna get to what you're saying, Wiggy. I appreciate the engagement, so I'm not gonna shut you out here, brother. But I'm sorry, what was I saying? So yeah, so they are enriching. So I'm acknowledging all of that. I'm acknowledging that it is a necessity to talk here. The something I didn't agree with during the Biden administration. I don't want to derail this, but just to kind of highlight that I can be fair here. It's like, you know, like when we were saying, like, we're not going to speak directly to Russia for long periods of time. I think the window should always be open to speak and end some kind of like conflict like that. Now, are most of the conversations going to end and not maybe end with a deal and be fruitful? Sure. But that's how you slowly, incrementally over time. Exactly. Diplomacy. So it's like when we're sitting here hitting our head against the wall about all the money that we spend in these foreign wars. And that's one thing that I'm hearing, like, hey, like I said, the isolationists, we can't be involved in the war at all because of money.
Right.
Which I understand. That's a principled stance to take, I suppose. But the reality is that right now we're showing more material support than just the money, and we're flexing. Basically, we're threatening that we're going to be involved in a way to try to force Iran to come to the table and like make some kind of horrible deal where there's some like full regime change, which I say horrible deal from their perspective, which is relevant. I'm not saying this is necessarily from my perspective. You go ahead, Paul. I don't want to filibuster, brother.
No, you're good. What I was going to say is that we've heard this before with weapons of mass destruction. We've already seen this play out. Israel went ahead and showed what the weapons were, and it's not even close to what like we should be worried about.
Yeah.
So look, I understand what's going on. I get it. I'm against us being involved in this war. I'm interested to see what Wiggy has to say.
Yeah, here, let me just lay that out, and then you
to see if he can sway our opinion on that.
Yeah, I'll throw it right back to you after I read this. Just because AAG, it's a shorter comment. I'll read this real quick, but I'm coming back to yours. Where no war with Iran, no pouring of American blood and money into the sands. Totally agree, and well said. And I do think, like I said, that's kind of a principled take that you can take on this issue. That's why I think it can be a nonpartisan thing, and it can really bring people together, a really unique coalition against this, which there's many reasons that I've had issues with this administration, but this being the biggest of them, obviously. So the perspective of this Iran situation being two proxies, Israel being ours and Iran being China's. Have you listened to Colonel Larry Wilkerson? This is the West attacking the new Silk Road. Very interesting. So yes,
okay.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I think that's something that we could even agree on and get behind. I guess Wiggy, you'd have to explain to me why
we should be involved in
that. We should be involved in that. Yeah. Why that's something that we should be for, although I can see where the rationalization is. It's just something I can't get behind. I think that's I'm just curious your opinion.
Again, the wars were supposed to end when Trump was elected. Day one is what he said. He said that he was the only one that could do it. What happened to that? What happened to the Democrats who are going to lead us to a World War III when right now it seems as if we're headed towards a World War III? And again, we learned during World War II that we can't stay out of a world conflict.
Yeah.
Again, like we have to. And that's where I'll agree with that. Like we can't just sit on our side. There are 195 countries in this world. We have to remember that. So we have to work together.
When I agree with Wiggy, he was just kind of touching on it with the China thing.
Yeah.
If you step back, it creates a vacuum where it obviously like somebody else is going to step in and want to influence that conflict to benefit them. So it's like
at what point and again, I have been somebody that has been on the side of, Israel is an ally. Okay. We're supposed to aid allies. So as far as like the Gaza thing, I've always been at the beginning, hey, there's retaliation. I get it. Let's not use excessive. Let's not be excessive.
Sure.
And then it's gone beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond to where you can't even fucking get aid into the goddamn country. And so it's like, at what point does now Israel sending missiles over to Iran not have us at some point in the rest of the UN sit there and look at Israel as the fucking problem? And again, like I don't want to be strongly on that side, but it's like, man, we can't just fight all their wars.
One thing I will say though, with just you bringing up the UN specifically, I think that's one of the dangerous things about this conflict between Israel and Gaza is it's kind of been exposed that the emperor has no clothes or whatever, where it's like the UN has had all kinds of judgments and against, and where it's been overwhelmingly against Israel, and where arrest warrants have been issued. They took that Israel and they wiped their ass with
it. Has to stop being empty,
and so did the United States. So, let me read Wiggy's point here. And I'm excited to see this other comment that you had here too, because I'm really curious about your view specifically, because I think it seems like you have a good understanding as far as like the overall conflict itself. And it seems like you're being kind of like a pragmatist here. I'm curious, just all things aside, what's your own kind of like analysis of the scenario as it stands today? So Wiggy says here, the drone attacks are most likely being facilitated by Starlink networks, hyper dangerous game, privatized intelligence apparatus with ultimate plausible deniability, bad stuff. So totally agree with you. Yeah, totally agree with you. And
that's wow.
Scary shit. Yeah, I mean, nailed it.
Lex Luthor, brother. We've been saying it.
And then also Wiggy says, I don't support a war in Persia. I'm just trying to rationalize what this could possibly be, other than our government has been captured by foreign agents. Wishful thinking, right? Yeah. Well, and when you mentioned that, I don't know if I directly responded to your other comment where you mentioned the Colonel Larry Wilkerson comment. If it's what I think you're talking about, it's when he was saying that correct me if my understanding on this was wrong, because it was kind of in passing, but I thought he was saying that America's acting as a proxy for Israel. Is that correct as far as like what he was insinuating there? And I mean, if that's the case, I mean, our shit might get shut down soon, to be honest, because now we've already said the word that left out of the title and fucking blessed us. But here, actually, let's go ahead and just because you mentioned that, this is a good segue for that. You have your headphones on. Let me go ahead and throw these on. Everybody that's showing some love tonight in the fucking chat, Wiggy, you're the man. Make sure you subscribe because I'd love to have you around here for more conversations. And there's no pressure to hop in the stream, but we love when people do. But I understand. I've been watching people stream before and like, I don't really want to hop on camera. Yeah.
There's still a lot of
I'm watching you guys when I'm here with my kids.
There's still a lot of information with this Iran stuff that I still need to like really get into with like how much we've given them. Again, it just seems so much like the Iraq stuff and Afghanistan stuff where it's like we given them so many of the weapons that we're claiming that they have. We left them with the means, and then we took away the restrictions, and then now we're like, hey, we're gonna go to war with you.
The original deal, and that's what was in the chat earlier, our group chat, which I guess
it just gets so deep.
But where it does, the rabbit hole gets crazy. But where they were talking about, however billions of dollars had been given. This was conservative, skewed. So it was like,
this
we gave however much $1 billion to Iran, but it was a part of that original nuclear deal where it unfroze funds that were already technically supposed to be theirs. So it's always, kind of, twisted slightly.
I'm seeing so much, and I'm like, man, I'm so busy. I really got to look into it.
Yeah, of course, bro.
And then it's like,
no, but that's the thing. That is what gets preyed upon, is that, just to have a comfortable life and provide for your family, there's so much commitment to that just to stay informed is difficult, and then also to be activated, Manchurian candidate fucking
and
style.
With this administration, there's so much shit going on left to right. It's hard. It's really fucking hard.
That's funny. Shady Fig Tree, shout out to you. Funny, and appreciate you for showing love to the fucking thumbnail, because I just thought it was so flagrant when that got posted. He said he or she said no mothers, groups, or children running around on the Death Star. So that's in reference to the thumbnail, which it was posted by Ted Cruz, by the way, after he let's just get into the videos. Let's get into the videos, guys. Hey, everybody, go ahead, subscribe, show some love. We're doing this at least once a week. A few videos will drop a week at least. We're building this channel, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. And it's been really cool. We've been vibing. Wiggy, we got Shady Fig Tree, AAG, and it's been Demir. It's been very friendly and a lot of love. So, and a lot of informative people in the comments. So I appreciate you guys adding to the show and all that. But let's get into these videos.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you.
By the way, not Tucker Carlson fans or anything like that. Sometimes objectively, somebody just shits on somebody. But Wiggy, appreciate you. Much love. And like I said, appreciate you just bringing even all that aside. But I definitely appreciate you locking in with us to see what we're doing next. But you hopping in the comments and being just informative and having a lot to say, it really adds to the show. I appreciate it. And then here, let me read your comment before we get back into it because it has to do with this. He said, "What did you guys think of the past 2 Tucker videos? A lot to unpack. Did the Romans living at the end of the empire know it was dying around them?" I've also thought this many times, as we probably all have, as far as like where American life is. And now you look around. I mean, people can't afford to buy a house, damn near. Just price of everything, the opulence on one side of the civilization to the dregs of the other side. It's like, it's with a wealth disparity.
It's massive.
Yeah, I think that it is something that I think about sometimes. I mean, I love it's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I think there are definitely signs of that, but then I also have the thought of like how much just humans have the tendency to fall into ego, and not to say that you're doing this, Wiggy, but pretty much every civilization or any time period, I feel like people are feeling like, like Jesus Christ is about to come back.
Brother,
you know what I mean? Or whatever.
God, how many times? Y2K.
Yeah. People are like, the world is going to end in my lifetime. And look, I'm not saying that couldn't happen or in this case, which I think is a more reasonable proposition. Obviously I do think that the American empire could.
You probably had groups that thought color TV was witchcraft. Television was a camera. Are you fucking serious? So yeah.
All right. Let's get back to the
I'm just saying. Yeah, you're right. The ego of it all, but I think that there's always ups and downs, roller coasters.
Yeah,
and we're on it, and we're a young country, and we just got to remember the importance of that. Most of us want the same shit.
Truly.
We just got to be able to talk to each other and close the divide, and remember that the perspectives just need to be seen. Yeah, and then we'll be good, brother.
Yeah,
and then just let's not go to war with Iran, but let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you, Wiggy. And like I said, when I say ego, I don't mean necessarily like in a bad. I just mean as far as like thinking that things are going to happen in this lifetime because this lifetime is so much more.
Yeah,
I don't want to say valuable, but you know what I mean. As far as like
more important.
Yeah, important. That's probably an easier way to put it.
Which is good to feel.
It's just good to feel, and you are. Wiggy, like I said, man, tonight you made a difference in my night. I started a new job today too, man.
Congratulations,
bro. God damn.
Yay!
Yeah, I think
there's one of them.
Sit and Politic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. That's my baby right there. That's my daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, that was tough. It was tough to leave her today. But either way, let's not get on a side note.
I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the.
It's in Genesis, but so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean,
Tucker?
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding?
So real quick, I kind of have an idea where this is going to go, but Wiggy, just that part specifically, I wanted to play that when you were saying, let me pull it back up, when you said right here, could possibly be other than our government has been captured by foreign agents. So, I mean, just when you hear that,
brother,
I mean,
it seems like it.
And somebody from your state, brother, the fucking... the Zodiac killer himself, Ted Cruz.
Oh.
Do you remember when people were saying Ted Cruz's dad was a Zodiac killer? That was fucking hilarious. But either way, but no wonder this guy's a fucking psychopath,
brother.
Yeah, he's like, how many people are there? I don't give a fuck how many people are there.
He's not moving off of the fact that Israel is the most important thing in his life.
Oh, 100%.
That is the most, and it's like,
yeah,
all right. But again, the Democrats though. And that's all I heard.
And look, I'm not super religious, although I have read a lot of the texts throughout my life and been very curious and been exposed to religion quite a bit. But at this point in my life, I wouldn't consider myself a super religious person. But when he's quoting this, and like Tucker's saying, like you're basing your entire ideology around this part of the Bible. And like I said, and this is just my understanding, and anybody that knows better, maybe Tucker will clear it up, but anybody that knows better about the Bible, let me know. But in the Bible, I believe they're talking about as Israel, the followers of Christ, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, I've watched a lot of fucking religious debates online, and I've read a lot of religious scripture and stuff like that, just for funsy. Yeah. So it's like, I will say that's just kind of, it just highlights Ted Cruz is kind of like misunderstanding, which honestly, I don't even think that this is, I don't honestly think that he takes this as, be blessed and to Israel, then they will be blessed. I don't think he's actually making the decision based off that. I think he thinks so lowly of the people that vote for him. And he's like, if I say this shit, then I'll accept it. Enough people will accept it. Enough people.
But is he wrong?
He might not be wrong, which is the crazy part. But I don't know. I question that.
I'm not saying is he wrong as in like the people are stupid.
Yeah.
It's just that people put their blind faith. And you find that the more religious people obviously put their blind faith into religion.
Sure.
And then the more religious people are right-winged. And it seems as if they put so much blind faith into that politician that's who they sit in their same seat forever, which Democrats do too. You can't say that they don't, but it's just like the audacity that like you said, that he thinks that like the people that vote for him, the people that love him are just going to sit there and be like, yep.
Well, and I think Tucker's kind of like, and I wonder if he's going to really, really hammer it home here, but I think he's kind of beating around the point that the nation that is Israel today is absolutely not the nation of Israel that's associated in the Bible. So, I mean, which either way, and AAG, I see kind of what you're saying right here, which here, I'll go ahead and so AAG says the Bible was written when the earth was created 6,000 years ago, and then parentheses it says note the sarcasm.
Love it.
Let's see here. But Israel was created in 1948, so this is exactly what we're talking about. So bit anachronistic. Oh God, help me, AAG. Look, I got exactly what you're saying, but right now it's been a long day. To think the God of the Bible told him to support Israel. No, I totally agree with that. That's kind of what we were getting at there. And Wiggy, let me go back up to your comment, brother. No one votes for him yet. Somehow he is still there.
Well,
talking about Ted Cruz.
There's your sign.
Well, brother, I hear that, but I wonder if sometimes I talk to people around me and I get. This isn't you, Paul. I'm not talking about you right now. But sometimes I talk to people around me, and I'm sometimes really fucking surprised by the beliefs that they hold. Honestly, so
much, so many times.
Let's see here. And then Wiki says the issue, I think, cropping up Israel is that at the core it's a Jewish ethno-nationalist state, ironically based on the Germanic romantic idea of nationalism, a state for a specific people. Where have we heard that before? Let's see here. And then AAG, sorry for the big word, LOL, but it just means he's got the wrong time period. Hey, much love coming through here.
Well, okay, so the little what's the word I'm looking for? We smoked a little bit. The little notion that they were putting in there, as in like who does it sound like, or where does it sound like to me?
Yeah,
obviously a place in the 1930s and 40s, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's where I was getting to earlier with like our support for a certain country that's doing so much. At some point, you kind of have to look at what they're doing and compare it to what someone else did throughout the history of this world.
Yeah.
And it's like, and look at it and say like, all right, are we and the UN and all the allies doing the right thing by continuing to show support?
Yeah.
And again, listen, there are people that have way more information and smarter than me that can say that, hey, well, we can't because of this, or we can because of this, and they can figure it out. But at some point, history is going to fucking be told. And it's like, and where are we going to sit? We can't like always just sugarcoat it and no paint the white over the picket fence. You know what I'm saying?
I think sometimes the problem with that is we have to keep in mind that the saying of like the history is written by the winners and things like that. So where history will be told,
it's technology.
I don't know how far down the road the truth can, I mean, like it's like classic game of telephone. It's like how far down the road is actually the truth still trustworthy? It's like fucking Ted Cruz over here saying that he's taking the Bible and he's like making all my worldly decisions based off that.
Yep.
And I'm gonna take this clan that we're talking about in the scripture, I'm going to apply that to this nation state,
which can I want to clarify,
please.
Not against the country,
okay,
not against the countrymen, not against the religion, okay, love all,
yeah,
but the leader there's a lot of side eye to be had.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Oh, side eye.
Yeah.
Fucking side eye.
I just want to be very clear. Okay.
Side eye. The motherfucker's been in our pockets.
Oh,
yeah.
Binoculars.
And then Wiggy, I think you mentioned it earlier with Iran having nuclear weapons. That was a little bit earlier, so I don't know if I can find that, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, Israel, we already pretty much know that they have nuclear weapons, and they deny it. And they're not under the same kind of surveillance that other countries are. And it's like we kind of just accept that. I don't know. Let's get back into this video for a second.
This is a majority Christian country. Define Israel. Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God is
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister,
right?
What?
But just like America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle.
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
you believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying
they hit pause.
I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
Brother, I love the contention.
I
love it. When Ted Cruz decided to go on that interview, it's not what he expected.
Yeah, I don't know what he expected. I mean, sometimes Tucker can be a little adversarial, which but I think was great there, and I think that's what we need when we. When we're potentially flirting with the possibility of war.
Far contrast from his shopping experience in Russia.
Oh yeah. No, that was bullshit. But like I said, it's not completely out of character for him to, like I said,
of course not.
Be a tough interview. But I mean, it is usually bullshit.
He did a good job.
Yeah, he did do a good job, and I hope that there's more people like him, where maybe he may provide more fluffy commentary at other times. Realize what's at stake now.
Yeah.
And I personally have seen that. Like I've seen that with I'm gonna name some people that people might be a little crazy. But Alex Jones is another one. Look, hey, he has been bought in on the Trump shit consistently, and he's been overlooking pretty much the deportations he was in support of. Which, like I said, I understand the need for deportations, but just like we already discussed on the previous episode. Yeah, so he's somebody that when you get to the point of war, it's just a red line. And then here, let's go ahead and hit some of these comments real quick. Eventually, we will enter an era of tranquility and peace and enact proportion to the present discord. The violence and hatred of today will be transmuted into goodwill. Benjamin Cream plus wiki quotes. Shout out to you.
Hey, man.
I appreciate that.
I hope so.
No, I appreciate that. We brought some insights, wisdom,
positivity. Love you. Appreciate it. All love. No, for real.
No, thank you for the Dharma. And then we got Christina here says Tucker Carlson is my new hero. Yeah, no, he fired his ass up.
Hey, listen.
I'm interested to see where
my respect meter.
Well, it's funny because I think that he is probably somebody. We're just speculating here, but I think that him getting a good reaction for this kind of coverage, I think will definitely incentivize him now that he's trying to create his own network.
Yeah.
To continue to feed into that, whatever it is. Like, he doesn't. He gives me the vibe of somebody. He's going to respond to the monetary benefit that he's having from the attention, and then also just the good attention in general. I think he likes to feel as if he's like speaking for a group.
I think I will continue to see what he says, see what he interviews with, like see how it goes, and then take what his opinion with a grain of salt.
Fair enough. Here, let me go ahead and Tucker Carlson is my new hero. That's going a little far from me, but hey, at the same time, I do appreciate the interview. I respect it. So Zainab Shak along those lines said, "Don't read every comment. It will try to you." I'm not sure what you were trying to say, but if anybody tried me or whatever, I'm not really that concerned with it. I appreciate the interaction and, like I said, good insight in my opinion, overall in the chat, but I appreciate you. Wiggy says, as an American nationalist, I am wary of the idea of international law, but not for the same reasons as someone like Lindsey Graham. It's not crazy to desire outcomes beneficial to Americans. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, and I think that's an interesting perspective. I'd like to peel that back a little bit more, to be honest. Kennedy was maybe assassinated to prevent Israel from obtaining them. I think the CIA angle might be a bit more complicated than what is presented. Okay, fair enough.
I always feel like JFK was hit by the mob because he was targeting the mob.
Yeah. And then we got
real work. So.
Then we got Jay here. Let's ask the real deal Holyfield. Is the United States about to have boots on the ground in Iran? And then also said we have 3 aircraft carriers in the region. So yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about a little bit throughout this process. I think that that is the question. I mean, we're opposed to it. We're speaking from our own perspective. We're definitely opposed to it. I do think that it's tough because I would have initially said diplomacy was the answer, but like we already spoke about earlier, with when they had the peace talks going, and then now as that's coming out and they're basically saying like, hey, you fucking the peace talks are basically a distraction so we could carry this out and fucking and now, by the way, well, real quick, I just want to say this and I'll throw it right to you, but now they're even trying to blame Iran for the Trump attempted assassination.
That's what I'm saying, but
retroactively.
And doesn't it point to some sort of incompetence?
No, all good, Jay. I appreciate you.
Some sort of incompetence at the top where we tried this whole sneakeroo, like, oh, come over here and let's talk about it. And then we're going to have our friend come hit you in the back. And then it's like, everyone knows that we were setting them up.
Yeah.
Like, it looks fucking worse.
Well, it's just like, why would anybody,
it's just dumb.
Why would anybody trust that we are going to have negotiations in good faith? I mean, literally we use it as a tactic of war. Which is fucking crazy, and directly it directly implicates the United States president.
Yes,
which is fucking nuts.
And again, man, it's putting our soldiers, our children, our brothers and sisters, our friends in danger for what? And
people that are in the region already.
Right.
Even if we weren't gonna go to all out war, just this kind of action could spice things up in the region, man. Where we have people, because we are a bit of an empire. And I'm curious, Wiggy, if you could let me know how you feel about that. I'm curious about your American nationalist take. So I'm just curious.
And then, but not only that, I want the people who were telling us pre-election that Trump was that he was the anti-war, the world peace president, and he was going to end it all. Where are they now on it? Where he has his hand is in escalating it all.
Yeah. No, I think that's where we're at. We have a few comments here. So Jay said, I'm a little late to the party. All good. I appreciate you. Whenever you got here, it was the right time. I appreciate you. And there's other people that come in and out. So any questions that you might have, it's good to ask that, because I might be clarifying something for somebody else. We are hearing the same damn argument we heard with Iraq. 100% agree. Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling that. I think that's one of the reasons why it speaks so broadly across just whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, is because of these are all people who are traumatized and live through the experience.
Check those military contracts. Let's see who's getting paid.
Okay.
It's all over again. Where's Dick Cheney at?
Right here, by the way. I don't know. Now I'm feeling like this might be a bot. I'm just going to be honest with you. No disrespect to Sarah Swati, but I don't know about that comment there. It's giving me bot vibes. No disrespect.
I can't read it.
Now I'm thinking the guy was giving me good advice saying don't read all the comments. Automation will free humanity from needless work. This sounds like literally a bot.
Let's not do that.
We'll all have much.
Man, we've seen movies on this. Okay, people start living in huts. Okay,
we'll all have much leisure and much less tension and fear. We'll reach our full potentials and live happier, healthier, longer lives. I love the vibe from this person, and please confirm if you're a person. No more of the just give me one. You can go right back to the Jedi to speak. I love it, and I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but you are making me think that you might be a bot.
Listen, man,
I mean, come on, they literally, this is a fucking AI trying to get us to give up our jobs.
I too want to be relaxed all day. Okay? Trust me.
But I
would love it, but I need money.
I need money, unfortunately.
We need money.
There's things I need. AAG says Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Thomas Massey, but they're talking about all the people that are saying like, yeah, this is fuckery.
Oh, okay.
Marjorie T. Green, all Republicans who acknowledge our government is being held by the throat by the Israel lobby. Many others too. Glenn Greenwald is also amazing.
So now here's my question. If we already know that
they try to blackmail Greenwald, let's talk about it. But either way, AAG,
so we already know that JD is all on. He already said he's all everything that happens. He's all on board with, right?
He says basically it's the president's decision.
But he also said, but
I'm saying,
he hasn't distanced himself from any decision, right? So do those same people and will the same people support him, or will they be wanting to look for a different candidate who is out of this administration, since this administration lied to them and actually started more war? No, well, not start, but help escalate more war.
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
No, I think it's a good question to be asking. Excuse me, Wiggy Wom. But they never provide evidence about the assassination plans or attempts. Give us the information. We as free people can't make the righteous or moral choice without free access to the info. Wiggy, I think we would agree on everything.
Me too. Yeah,
I love it. I'm with you.
I thought they were doing that though. I thought Patel and them said that they were releasing that.
The JFK stuff. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think they released.
I'm not being condescending.
He just told RFK, but look, it'd be just too much. You're just gonna have to keep it to yourself. And he's like, all right. Wiggy, same as the Iranian nukes. We are told to take their officials at our word. You know, and I agree with you, and I think that's valid. I think, and the fear mongering, I hate to say it,
100%.
like I totally get why that is scary and valid, and I'm not disagreeing with you. That's like, hey, do we just trust Iran blindly? And like they're saying, hey, we promise we're not going to make nukes. But at the same time, they're enriching their fucking uranium past the point used for civilian use. So I think all that is valid, but like I said, the diplomacy is the answer. And I do acknowledge that because we were just involved in some absolute fuckery, now it may be too far for diplomacy because we can't be trusted in the conversations. But I mean, I think honestly, before that, I think people were looking for some kind of genuine off ramp. I mean, I know Israel was not, but I just don't think that that Iran was actively looking to get involved in this conflict. Just
no. Yeah. And again, not again, but Obama had a treaty signed. We had it to where they weren't making nuclear weapons. They weren't allowed to make nuclear weapons. Trump, he lifted that. And he was supposed to, the top negotiator of all time, was supposed to go in and negotiate the deal of all deals.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Are you talking about Trump right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's the one that took away, I forget what it's called, but the Iranian nuclear treaty deal. Yeah. Deal. Yeah. So sorry again, man, a little high, but again, just a little high. But he went ahead and lifted that shit. And then went ahead, and now we're at war with the shit, and it's not good. Sorry, I fumbled it around, but I got where I went.
No, I understood exactly what you're getting at. So Hamza Malik says Iraq had WMD weapons. Yeah, I mean that is.
Did they?
No, I mean their point. They're a bunch of laughing emojis after. I should say that.
Okay,
I should say that.
I can't see it. The angle.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah,
I see it now.
So yeah, a bunch of laughing emojis, and I think that's just speaks to a common thread throughout this conversation in the comments and between us. It's harkening back to that kind of era, and why I think a large portion of even people who are conservatives, like I think it's important distinction to make between people who are conservative, people who are anti-Kamala voters, and people who are just straight up MAGA. Like I don't think that you can honestly count on. I do think that it's possible that all this shit, people who are truly cult MAGA brainwashed motherfuckers, we've talked to them. I'm sure you guys have talked to them. there are some people that will just be like, I don't give a fuck. I support whatever the fuck the man does. But I think there's a lot of people who'll just be grossed out and it'll just be a step too far.
Hope so. I hope so.
Hey, all right, Jay. Let's ask another question. Do we need to stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons? I was one that said Trump is anti-war. Yeah, I'm with you. I think there was, once again, like when I lay that out and I'm talking about anti-Kamala voters and stuff like that, I think there was a lot of people who were anti-Kamala voters for that reason. Whether I agree with that or not, I think, you know, there was some validity to that and everybody had their own reasoning. So it's like, I think people like yourself, Jay, people who were maybe I'm assuming that you voted for Trump because you felt like he was an anti-war candidate. I think obviously this is, you know, tacitly not anti-war.
It should feel like betrayal, in my opinion. Again, my humble opinion. but yes, I don't think we should allow them to have nuclear weapons.
Jay said, you have an Iranian bot in the comments. Yeah, no, and the thing is, we're having a great night in the views. Everybody that's here tonight, make sure you subscribe, show some love. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and giving us a shot and checking us out. But that might be because Iran went ahead and paid for some extra promotion for your boy. We came on here talking real positive, and the Persian they hooked us up with the fucking promotion package. Hell yeah. No, hey, I'm not mad at it. Fuck it. Hey, just know these are my own views. I was not directly paid, which I would like. But I'm saying, as far as this goes,
I want no blood money.
This was just real deal. We're just chopping it up, shooting shit.
America, we don't have blood money, so we're good.
But yeah, the fucking Persians, they went ahead and fucking boosted the algorithm. Shout out to them. Iran currently has 8 atomic bombs, supposedly. Damn. Ooh. Okay, I hadn't heard that. That's scary stuff. And also that creates a little bit more of a argument for the urgency and the immediate kind of threat. And I think that's you have to kind of meet those.
Okay, so question: Do we take? Okay, so. Let's hit my ignorance.
Sure, let's go.
What are there like levels, like levels to this shit? Like when we're talking about 8 nuclear bombs.
Hey Jay, by the way, if you're still on here, brother, I have a sports conversation coming at the end because
as far as like these like 8 nuclear bombs.
Yeah,
are there ones that are like will only hit a city and won't? No, kill off too many. Like what are or is it all like end all be all atomic war? Because if it's that way, do we ever take it too? Because like, what would be the point of saying we're gonna go to nuclear war with you?
Yeah, when
you know that would only kill all of us. Like there's no winning in that.
Yeah. So
it's like how again? I'm not to downplay the threat.
Sure.
But it's always kind of like all right. It's kind of like that's always there. Like, all right, my dad could really knock me out.
Well,
so he's not really ever going to punch me in the face.
Just to bring, I'm going to get to the comments coming in a second. But just to kind of bring it to a more, because I think it's interesting what you're saying as far as like what, like trying to really conceptualize what having a nuke means. We obviously think of that as like you're completely, obliterating a city beyond repair and all that. And that may well be true. But I do remember during the short time that there was the India-Pakistan conflict. And I think India threatened, they said they had tactical nukes. And they said they would use it on Pakistan if they continued.
So what does a tactical nuke do? Like within my ignorance, because again, I'm not a...
And then also in AAG, I saw you mention it. We mentioned it a little bit ago. As far as Tulsi Gabbard did say that they were, I think she said 12 months or years away from creating a nuclear weapon. But then at the same time, they have been accused of basically like not allowing access to the nuclear facilities and things like that. So, I mean, like I said, I think if you can get past the fact that literally just the current way of handling things are just completely atrocious, and I don't think any of us are agreeing that that's how we should move forward. Correct. There is definitely extremely important conversations that need to be they need to happen, and I think we're all in agreement on that as well. As far as like, I don't think anybody in this conversation is saying like, okay, options are. I mean, I guess some people are actually saying this, but they're saying like, don't go to war and I guess like just ignore whether or not they have nukes or not, or if they're getting close to nukes. I think that is an important issue that deserves some level of attention. Yeah. But when you're actively when you're actively bombing the people like Israel, who we know has a nuke, then I mean, let's just keep it real. If you were in Iran's position and if you weren't creating a nuke, I mean, fucking now you're definitely fucking creating a nuke. Like, what the hell? Every fucking scientist in the entire country is working on that shit now. They paused all other fucking operations. And I mean, when you have things like Libya and like what happened with Gaddafi, the motherfucker was raped to death. Literally, Jesus, like we can get into it. So it's like part of the reason for that is, and I mean, I'm not like I'm not trying to be the pro-Iranian guy unless they're going to boost the algorithm and continue to do that. Then maybe I will. But I just want to say the reality is like if you don't have a nuclear deterrent, well then I mean countries can do what they're doing right now. I mean, what the fuck could you imagine? Just countries raining down fucking hellfire on Florida. I mean, fuck, we already told them where we're at. Fuck. But if there's anything you want to say that I want to get into go. Okay, so Jay said Obama did drop a shit ton of cash to the Iranians to stop their nuclear program. They also used that money to fund proxies in Lebanon and Syria. And then we have here, and we'll double back to like that's a meaningful comment. That's a meaningful comment. I want to definitely, but I want to get to the ones that we have here. And since have also built 2,500 acre nuclear facility. I mean, did they really stop? I like how you ended that. And then Cold Cuts here said, "Dude, what the fuck? Iran doesn't." And then he came back in and he said,
"Oh, they're arguing in the comments."
Yeah, he's arguing a little bit in the comments. Cold Cuts came in. Iran doesn't have any nuclear bombs. I mean, that's a confident statement, brother. You're making a very confident. Korea has nukes. That's a great point, Wiggy, and that's part of the reason why they still exist to this day, talking all that shit. If they didn't have nukes, do they? Are you asking if they exist?
I look. They could be there.
Last I checked.
Do they function?
I mean, I don't know. That's a matter of. I guess it's relative. No, Korea has nukes. Okay, and they're still technically at war with America. Yeah, I mean, and that's a great point. But there's, like I said, once again, there's a reason why we're not just raining down fire on North Korea. Obviously, we would have the capabilities to do exactly what's happening to Iran or what's happening to fucking Gaza to their ass. Let's just keep it real. Dude, America shit.
Every leader just needs to get together and have one good old toke sesh.
Yeah,
and brother.
With the peyote pipe, that works for the fucking Native Americans.
A lot of issues are just
motherfuckers came and smoked your shit and gave you fucking smallpox.
Yeah, and well, okay, well, we don't need to go that far. But
hey, just everybody, Deuce Andretti's in here. I only have your audio though. You don't have a camera. I don't know if that's your intention.
I'm wetter than a sweater, brtter. Give me a second.
All right, we'll try to get a little bit closer to the mic so we can hear you a little bit better, brother. And if you want to get on camera, feel free. Just so everybody knows, there's a person that's not on camera right now, not in the fucking building, but they're buzzing in. So just so if you guys hear them, that's
hear
that
the
person.
voice.
That's the third person.
I'm just charging up real quick, like Drake.
Yeah. Well, and also try to get the audio a little bit better for us, brother, please. But I'm gonna mute you real quick.
I got you, brother. I got you.
You're good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm on the charge.
All right, I'm muting you right now. All right. Jay, let's see here. I don't know if that means B-52 deployed or if they are hypersonic missiles deployed. I'm kind of missing exactly what you're referring to there, brother. So my bad. Sometimes when there's a little pause, it's hard to get back to exactly what we're referring to. That's on me. AAG says, I mean, even Tulsi Gabbard, head of national intelligence, said there's no evidence Iran was working on a nuclear bomb, but I guess all our 18 intelligence agencies don't know as much as Netanyahu. Oof, LOL.
Mic drop.
Fucking fire their ass up. AAG, come through here and just shit on motherfuckers for it.
Come on stream.
Yeah, definitely. Love it though.
Have my kid.
And then Jay here says they also supposedly have acquired supersonic missiles, which would come from Russia or China. I'd say Russia because all the Iranian drones and munitions Russia has used in Ukraine. Okay. And then we got Wiggy here. I'm gonna breeze through these, and then I have some more videos to play and all that kind of shit. And we'll bring Deuce in here whenever he's ready officially. Get in the private chat if you can't unmute yourself, Deuce. I'm not sure. Wiggy says it's all small nukes, 500 kilotons. You should check out Ted Postal's lectures on what nukes are like.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Ted
Maybe for the next stream,
Postal?
I'll try to.
Yeah,
Could you write that down on your phone or something, or text me that? Because I would love to do that. I'll have to check it out on the stream or something like that. That'd be fun. Cold cuts. What are you guys smoking? Fucking gas, brother.
Gas, brother.
Fucking gas back. Tulsi said the intelligence community has determined that Iran isn't putting.
Honestly,
Tulsi's
some was
full of
beefing.
shit.
Oh, it was ironic because he said B-52, and I was like, oh,
that was Jay. Jay said that.
Yeah, actually smoked on that today.
Tulsi said the intelligence community has determined that Iran isn't pursuing a nuke. So when you're saying what are you guys smoking on, like I said, I will still say that gas pack, but we're also in agreement with that. But they also have determined that they've obfuscated and not allowed entry to facilities and things like that. So there is reason to be concerned. But I mean, we've also said that about Tulsi Gabbard, and that I think that's valid. And I don't think that we should be as involved as we currently are as far as like materially. And this is the last comment. And if there's anything you want to say, Deuce, I'll go ahead and throw it to you, brother. People are doing the Fent Walk in San Francisco, but we are worried about Iran. What Legos they can possibly build if they had time. Damn, Muhammad came in and just shit on.
Boom!
He just shit on Iran.
Hey, but listen, I agree. Let's get the Fent off the streets.
Although that might be what an Iranian might want us to do. Like focus on that.
Yeah. Let's call it a spade, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go in there. We're probably gonna blow some shit up.
Yeah, brother, you are a little quiet. I don't know. Let me see.
Well, turn me up, brother. Turn me up, man.
I don't know if I can turn you up because you're not here.
I mean, I don't know my speakers.
I turned you up. I turned you up.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, no. I think we're gonna go in there. We're probably gonna blow some shit up.
Okay.
We probably shouldn't. Right? We probably shouldn't.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, like I said that.
But make America great again.
Oh,
This is not the way it was promised, but I guess this is the route we're going, right?
There's more than one way to be great.
No,
Hey,
I
man.
agree.
He's
I agree.
strapped in.
But if you ask Michael Jordan, what did Michael Jordan tell you? Punch your teammates in the face, right? I mean, no. But
if that was the case, then we would do something to Israel and try to get them to stop acting up.
Our teammate,
brother. You don't want to open that conversation with me, brother.
I'd open it up right now.
I don't know if you want to
we've
open
been
that
on it.
conversation with me, brother.
I've already
Because
called
I
him
told you
Hitler.
in the
Oh, bro.
chat,
Hey,
you
did
want
I
to send
tell you?
bombs to someone, then when they send their bombs back, you want to sit here and come to Big Brother. Like, hey, Big Brother, don't let me get beat up.
Were you
We're not related.
Were you watching when I was talking about the title for the episode?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, so sometimes it hits or miss. Sometimes we'll have 15, 20 people up in here, and then sometimes we'll put out video. It's like we'll have like 5 people watch or something.
Yeah.
So tonight we've been buzzing all night, and I appreciate you guys. We're over 60 people right now, and definitely subscribe, show some love, stick around, hit the bell so you know to come fuck with us again. Everybody's been really cool in the comments actually, and has contributed to the conversation. So I appreciate y'all for that. Yeah, definitely. Even people who have been critical, I think it's been really good conversation. But just to tell you, dude, so I don't forget so I was doing the title tonight and I had Israel in the title, and I just had a thought to myself. I'm like, let me just take Israel out. Let me just try to be a little creative and work around it. But I took that out. We went live. There's fucking 80 motherfuckers on this goddamn shit once we started.
Brother, you should have slapped it in there. You probably would have had 1,000.
No, I think it's opposite.
We usually do it.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like I said, it's conspiracy theories.
Oh,
but
you
I
know
ain't
what
working
it
on
is? Oh, you're saying the algorithm. Oh,
the
I
algorithm.
see.
Bro, the algorithm
we ain't
is.
gonna say it out loud right now because they
we don't want to. We don't want to.
Loud, but we know what's going on.
Some shit happened tonight.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was putting the shit in. I had Israel in the fucking title, and I was like, let me just, and then we've been in here. We have Wiggy Wom. Look, if we had
dropped it at least 25 times.
Getting niggas from fucking the Middle East in this motherfucker, huh?
We just keep.
We definitely. Oh, bro, we had an Iranian.
We get my brothers from the Middle East in here. What's up, my brother?
We had the Iranian bot earlier that was in here just dropping straight fucking. Look at this shit.
Bro,
Israel
motivation.
Israel propaganda, huh? Israel
Motivation.
propaganda.
Honestly, peace, love.
No, I told him, look, Iran boosted the algorithm. Shout out to them.
Yeah, Iran, boy, they ain't fucking
Versus
off.
probably
They
might be on a
going
mushroom trip.
cyber warfare on us too now, huh? God damn.
We might be. I might be like the fucking Iranian, fucking Dave Rubin.
Be careful, brother. Be careful.
Russia?
They're watching, brother. Them people.
Ben Johnson.
You know when Tim Pool took the money from Russia on accident? That might be me with Iran. My hands were tied.
Like direct deposit. You had no idea it was coming.
I'm like, the man that handed me the money, his name was John. I had no fucking idea.
John Doe. That's what he said his name was.
Yeah, John Doe. How could I have known? Here, let's just go ahead and wrap up this video that we were watching. Actually, it finished. I had another Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, we have to watch how many people are there. Oh, huh?
Bro, you know what though, bro? Can we just say that Trump is tripping? Trump is tripping. We're just gonna say that.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, I like
appreciate
that.
it. Yeah,
tripping.
Yeah.
And I'll say he's tripping for the fact that he's letting Netanyahu. I'm gonna call him Ho. We're just gonna call him a Ho from now on.
Adolf.
He's a fucking Ho.
Netanyahu.
Benjamin Ho. He's letting this dude trick him into a war.
Benjamin Ho is so like not creative.
No, it's just disrespectful. I want it to be disrespectful. That's just disrespectful. Yeah. He doesn't get creativity. He gets disrespectful.
BB netting bitch.
Exactly. Pussy.
Yeah,
but dog, like I just
all the lights turn off.
No one can tell me that Trump was negotiating a peace deal. Then Israel's like, hey, yeah, you know what's gonna help that peace deal? We're gonna send some bombs. Right,
with your name on it,
and then we're gonna say that America knew. We're gonna put America in the middle of everything. That shit is so foul. Yeah. We should let his ass sit there for a week, and let those fucking bombs drop before we intervene. Fuck that, dude. It's like, oh, dude, you know what? It's like your little brother goes out there, instigates a fight, right? With the biggest motherfucker on the yard, even bigger than you. This dude's 250, 6'4", you know what I'm saying, in high school. He's really 25 in high school, just didn't graduate, right?
Yeah.
Then he runs back to you, he's like, hey, I just went and fucking slapped the biggest dude on the playground. I need you to come fight him for me.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, bro. For one, I'm gonna go fight him for you. But for one, you're gonna go out there first and take a little licking.
You're gonna have to wear him out.
After.
You gotta wear him out.
You're gonna go out there and take a licking.
You gotta take that ass whooping, man. With him. You gotta go down swinging hard.
No, because the thing is, it's true, because you're setting a precedent now with this country that every time they want to sit there and throw a stone and then turn their back. It's like, no, bro. If you're gonna throw your stones, take that ass whooping that comes with it. You can't sit here and want to bully everybody in your region, and then when the bullies come to your block, you want to sit there and tuck your tail. No, sir. Take your ass out there and fight that battle. The same thing with the Zelensky's ass in Ukraine. You want to send missiles to Russia like you a big dog? You a hot dog?
I mean, he got invaded.
He was invaded.
He's we were in peace talks, and you decide to send some missiles.
No, we're talking about Zelensky.
Out there.
We're talking about Zelensky. Zelensky was invaded. That's what I'm saying.
But he was invaded. But there was a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Where Putin was negotiating with Trump, playing hardball, and this motherfucker sent missiles. He sent missiles, bro. And you know, I'm not gonna focus on Zelensky. Fuck Zelensky. Yeah, we're gonna focus on
Wiggy right now. Wiggy's wigging out in the chat.
Oh, let's see what he's
paid to do. He's paid for the boys. All
right, let's one person read it, so we're not all reading it together.
Yeah, read that, please, brother.
Trump is doing what he was paid to do. He is bought and paid for, boys.
Roll Tide.
His crypto assets have ballooned to 3.4 billion. His cash holding, like all the rich, emptied on purpose. They are crashing the dollar.
Hey, I agree. I'm trying to go crypto.
No, they want to crash the dollar though. But
he said Zelensky had the Musk Accord and got bribed into war. Okay, Muhammad's talking that shit. Kind of clarify.
No, he did.
Kill the dollar, kill the wage, bring manufacturing back. Next thing you know, we're the manufacturing country, or Saudi, where Trump and all them live. Then now what?
You added some extra good shit. I think Wiggy was just saying no, it's all fucked. Which I mean, I think
there has to be a plan.
He slam dunked this shit.
He did.
And I mean,
I think it looks like that. I don't think that's exactly how it all played out. I don't think it was just strategic.
I'm sure it was. Why not? Let's have fun.
Bro, it's just really fucking horrible decisions, and he's just like, well, fuck. How do I? How do I at least make millions of dollars off this?
Yeah.
Well, bro, I mean, I think the crypto thing is his Trump coin, right?
Yeah, Trump coin. Well, I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, people hold Joe Biden responsible for the actions of his children. Not that I'm defending Joe Biden, but it was Trump coin, but they also like every fucking member of the family had a coin. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
Now the Trump phone.
That's above my pay grade, brother. I can't understand.
The Chinese owned Trump phone
now the Trump
has to be the greatest one.
The
now.
Trump phone.
That's owned by Chinese country.
Phones in America tapping into our cell services, fucking stealing our data and shit. I mean, China's been here, brother. That's long gone.
China, bro, they all got our shit.
It's just the fact that the Trump phone is owned by a Chinese company. You don't find that a bit ironic?
No, I don't, because most of everything comes. No, because if you think about American products,
we hate China, and then
most American products
owned by China.
Most American products come from China. So am I surprised by that? No, I'm not. I'm really not. Like,
yeah, but what about the point of like bringing manufacturing back here and American made shit?
Can't he bite the bullet?
That's probably why he wants to bring it
as the
back,
greatest American businessman to ever walk the earth since Jesus himself.
He probably wants to do that.
He can't bite the bullet and have it manufactured in America.
Yeah.
Do any of them bite the bullet? We're
Why
asking.
not?
Do any of them bite the bullet? It's no one bites the bullet on manufacturing. No
I
one does
mean, I would. I love my country enough.
So
that's where you make most of your profit margin.
You hold your president to any different standard than you would hold any other person to at all?
Bro, he's the president for 4 years out of his life, 8 years at the most. Am I going to hold him accountable for it? Am I going to treat him different for 8 years?
He sets us up for a lifetime.
I mean, I think after the 8 years, I think when you're president, you get treated different for the rest of your life, and there's a different standard.
My whole thing is he lived a long time before he was president. If I expect him to change,
I don't think he should have been president
within 8 years. It'd be a little bit far-fetched because he has 60 years of training to be the person he was before presidency. I'm not expecting him to change in it for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? It's like expecting Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was still fucking host when he was in office. You expect him to stop fucking host?
But we don't like that. We're not like, hell yeah.
We're not like that. The rest of America was like grabbing by the pussy.
Yeah, I feel that.
Red flags. There were a lot of red flags.
There are so many red flags.
You know what I'm saying? America was like, fuck it, grab her by the pussy, brother. Grab her by the pussy.
Yeah, I think so. But the thing is,
have you seen Hillary Clinton, bro? Come on, dog.
I would be consistent in saying, like, for Trump specifically, like, I mean, I didn't support him becoming president to begin with. So it's like, I think that you're right that he's consistently shown that he can't live up to the standard of what we should expect the leader of our country.
100%.
But I mean, yeah, even if you fall short of that, when you become the president, I expect you to raise to the occasion a little bit. I mean, hold on, let me just finish. If I had my own preference, I would say he should have never been fucking president to begin with because he wasn't fucking competent and he wasn't the right type of person to be in the position. You can go ahead and respond now, and then I'm going to get to these comments. So I just want to read.
Okay, I just want to. What would the right person be though? Because we had Obama that bombed a bunch of fucking innocent people out in the Middle East. Then we had Biden that came in. He was senile. He auto-penned a bunch of shit. Didn't even know half the shit he fucking auto-penned and signed. Right. If you want to go before that, you had Bush, where his family was corrupt as fuck. Was involved in 9/11, had all those fucking oil deals out in Saudi with Osama bin Laden's family, right? And made billions of dollars from all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Why American lives were sacrificed. So, I mean, when we really just keep going, and then we can go to Hoover, we can go all these corrupt fucks, right? So the only good one, in my opinion, was probably JFK, and they shot that motherfucker square between eyes.
And he had character flaws, but the thing is,
on his wife
allegedly,
he don't give a fuck if they fuck bitches. Their wives are old prunes, dog. They look like sacks of potato chips, bro. What are we talking about?
Yeah,
they need to get some pussy. Them motherfuckers are stressed. Yeah. You know what I want my president doing? Getting some fucking pussy. That's what I want him doing. All right.
Well, then, that may be indicative of our difference of viewing the situation. I don't want the president to just be a feral fuckhound. You know what I mean? Spending fucking 10 hours straight gooning himself on fucking Reddit. Right. Talking to femboys.
Dealing with these corrupt fucks all day, brother. Let him get some pussy, bro.
On Reddit, looking for a hot wife.
Some head. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying?
No, listen.
He's got to look at Nancy Pelosi coming in stealing all this fucking money.
Is okay.
Who cares?
Let's not get stuck on that because I'm saying, like, if you were asking me, I can look at things and I could say, okay, that's not ideal. That's not a good thing. That's not a good week. I'm sure JFK if you had a conversation with him privately, he would probably say that he had a weakness for women, and that was something that he had a problem with, and was dealing with. But the thing is, and we talk about this with Cody, at the end of the day, can you exercise good judgment when you have these kind of things come across your desk? When it gets to the point where you're talking about nuclear war possibilities, do you decide to have a fake peace conversation while Israel bombs out the fucking country, or do you actually sit at the table, have the hard conversation with people that are not always like so motivated to sit at the table? I think that's part of great leadership. And I do think that it's crazy that we don't expect that, because if we were hiring a fucking CEO for Apple, we would expect that. You know what I mean? If we're hiring
the GM of your favorite football team,
you would
expect
that. We're saying Trump didn't have these conversations?
But hold on. Look,
go ahead.
What about a simple phone call for diplomacy, as opposed to going on Truth Social and going on a fucking rant talking about how easy it would be to just kill you? And it's
so
like,
you're saying you don't think these conversations happened. You think he just went to Truth Social and started tweeting?
It's not public. The public threat and humiliation, I think, really entices the situation. It really sparks it.
I think the conversations had been happening. We know that those peace talks had been happening, but they were still in the process of happening. So I don't think that they didn't happen. And when they were happening, I praised them for that. When Israel said that America was undermining them by having these conversations directly with Iran, I actually applauded that from Trump. I thought that was great. Like, honestly, like we shouldn't be handcuffed by the fact that that Israel's bloodthirsty. Like, okay, you guys want to be a fucking dog off the leash, then fine, so be it. But we're going to talk to Iran, and we're going to hopefully get them on the same page, and then we're going to stop funding. Like, Israel has fucking free healthcare. Like, a lot of this is because of American subsidies. The fact that we talk about trade agreements and tariffs. I don't know if Trump ever put a tariff on Israel. That's something I'd like to look into. Because
what are we going to tariff?
I know before all the tariffs, we had a bilateral trade agreement, so it was very friendly, and exactly what Trump was trying to remedy when we talk about, because we had a similar thing with like Canada or Mexico, and those couldn't stand with Canada and Mexico, even though they're our domestic fucking neighbors. Wild. To put us in that position. But I'm going to come right back to you. I'm sorry that, because I know you probably want to respond to that, but I want to get to these comments real quick, and then I'll throw it back to like whoever wants to get in here. So Muhammad, Joe Biden went to Ukraine and told them to fire that prosecutor for he was going to withhold their funding in Obama's administration. So yeah, I'm familiar with that to a certain degree, and as far as that's completely true, the prosecutor that was investigating his son's company that he sat on the board of. So I mean, I would be in total agreement. There's things that Biden did, and I mean, I definitely wouldn't support Joe Biden. I've been on this channel consistently.
He's not my homeboy.
Anti Biden for a lot of reasons. I didn't vote Democrat because of how that administration went.
You defended Biden during all that shit. I called him out on all that shit like almost 2 years ago, and you defended him all that corruption that he was doing.
No, okay. What I defended was when we're talking about Hunter Biden, he does coke, he likes prostitutes. I'm just sitting there saying, listen,
it's all true.
I'm not voting for him, but while you're saying that, you're looking at the Trump kids as if they're not into cocaine. Come on.
Yeah, but you don't want to do what about? Like, hold on, dudes. You don't want to do like what aboutism there, because it's like, once again, you can have the conversation. It's a valid conversation to have about the impact that any one of these like kids who are actively involved in corrupt dealings. Like, I mean,
bro, Jared Kushner, the deals that he got, like you would brush off the fact that Qatar or the UAE has given him billions of dollars. That is the fucking son-in-law to his favorite child, and the husband to his favorite child. Ivanka getting her businesses in China right before tariffs. You have so many backdoor deals that they were getting that you want to brush off because of Hunter Biden. And listen, I'm not a fan of Hunter Biden.
I think you need to realize something about Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is not like Trump's friend. If anything, that's like his competition. You know what I'm saying? And Jared Kushner's been his family's
that's his son-in-law, bro.
It doesn't matter, bro. Okay, like his dad's he took over his dad's company. You know what I'm saying?
And Trump pardoned his dad, didn't he?
Pardoned his dad when?
4 months ago, I think.
Yeah,
you can look it up.
You can look it up.
And that or is it?
I saw the list. I saw the
He's
list
been
of pardons.
pardoned.
NBA Youngboy was on there,
And maybe he was also given the ambassador job. Maybe that was the most recent news, but it was something. But
yeah, in his last cabinet seat, he was in the cabinet, and then now he's not.
But he's also been pardoned because he was in prison.
I'll go ahead and pull this up real quick.
But also the Hunter Biden thing. My other point was that we're talking about like tax evasion. Oh, hold on. One thing was the money given by Ukraine or whatever we talked about. There was like $500,000 or $50,000, whatever it was.
I got the list right here. We can run through it.
And so that in comparison to the billions, okay. And then he lied on his registration to buy a gun, right? Saying that he doesn't do drugs, and then they used a picture of him doing drugs to say that you lied, and then he evaded taxes. And my point is,
no, I think he had an illegal gun. He evaded taxes. He used
you can't be pro-Trump and then talk about evading taxes as your prerequisite as to why you can't vote for Joe Biden. And then you live in Florida, where majority of the people we know smoke weed and own guns.
He committed treason. We got to talk about that. He committed treason. We're not going to skip over that and act like he wasn't on the board of an oil company where he knows nothing about oil, getting money from millionaire oligarchs over in Ukraine. We can't skip over that. He's tied to some very corrupt shit over there in Ukraine.
Hunter Biden was getting hundreds of millions of dollars?
Bro, he was sitting on the board of an oil or of an energy company, brother, in Ukraine. He's a crackhead, snorting coke off bitches' titties on the daily.
Yeah. Like he was.
He was doing that.
Yeah.
What is he doing on a $1 billion company in Ukraine?
So do a lot of people that you respect.
Yeah, all of Trump's kids, every fucking last one.
There's literally a video of at a rally.
Coke off bitches' titties is one thing.
Okay,
smoking crack off bitches' titties.
Okay, all right. Listen to Paul. You made your point, brother.
You had the video at a Trump rally or whatever where Don Jr. is putting he sticks his hand in his coat pocket and then rubs it on his teeth, and it's like, oh yeah. I wonder what that was.
Probably Hunter's.
Yeah. Again, man, I'm not giving into that. The argument was let's keep it to Joe. Again, none of us though on the left ever said that Joe's our favorite, that Joe's the man. It was just the means to an end to us.
We gotta understand, Joe Biden before presidency was a scumbag too. Dude, let's not forget. Like, you know what I'm saying? The crack laws, all that shit he did, he was a scumbag. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it happened, but he got like a
no, you're not wrong.
A new image.
You're not wrong. I think the fucking what you accuse Hunter Biden of treason. I think look, there's a fucking extreme argument to be made that Joe Biden is fucking guilty of that. Let's talk about it. But either way, let's move on.
Pedophile?
No, treason. I'm fucking around. But that'll be a whole other thing. We could talk about it, and I could make a far out case for it. But I do think that, for example, him not stepping down from the presidency was actually really damaging to. I mean, it's why we're in the position we're in.
It's a stand on the Democratic Party, for sure.
Yeah, so, you're talking about the you're basically the correction is what you're talking about. The correction the other way.
Exactly. Well, and like I don't know if you were on here when we were talking about it, but and I kind of said it in the group chat today. I think this war thing, it really divides a lot of people because there's a lot of people that are in that camp that are not conservatives, like lifelong conservatives or ideal conservatives. They're people who were anti-Kamala voters, understandably. I mean, to a degree, I was an anti-Kamala voter. I just didn't put my vote behind Trump. And then you have people who are straight up MAGA, and then you have people who are conservative, who once again, like they're gonna support Trump just because. And I think that he did end up convincing people this time. And I think the Democrats did help with that, with some of the the lawfare and things like that. It really made him more of a sympathetic figure. And I think it also took us away from how chaotic the country was when he was president. So it reminded us more, we were more thinking about like the Democrats going after him and what they were going after him for and this and that. But in reality, like, and we see it now today, even with like the riots and the protests, a lot of Trump's presidency was filled with riots, civil unrest, some of the most crazy racial tensions I've ever seen in my life. in America. So it's like, I think some of that kind of got lost, and they were able to cover that up, and he didn't actually have to answer to that record as much, because so much of the conversations were being had around him being, you know, an anti-war candidate, which was, you know, something he could sell at the time, because Biden was so blindly supporting the Israel-Gaza conflict, which was such a red line for a lot of people who, you know, considered themselves liberal in one way or another.
What would you say the the tension with racism was under Obama?
I don't think it was as bad. I mean, I don't know exactly what the question is. I don't think it was as bad, though. If you
remember, because they were having those situations in the South where they were trying to tear down statues, and
I remember
they were having all that shit going on where people were kind of like going back and forth.
I think it was way less divisive than Black Lives Matter, burning down fucking Minneapolis.
How's that Trump's fault?
What do you mean? The thing is, he's the other side of that. These are resistant.
It was a response.
It's a response to Trump, obviously. I mean, would you not agree with that?
Well, I thought Black Lives Matter happened because of George Floyd.
Well, no.
And there was a lot of buildup.
Yeah, specifically. But what I'm saying is, as far as like where the culture was because of the president, by and large, and I mean not just literally the president, but you have things like the Charlottesville stuff. You had a lot of shit popping up around that point that I think Trump encouraged, or not encouraged, but enabled, I would say, more so. Here, let me just get to these comments and I'll come back. But if you have another way you want to ask that question, maybe I can answer it more clearly. I'm not trying to not answer.
What do you think?
So Jay says, I was referring to the method of deploying an atomic or nuclear bomb, B-52s or hypersonic missiles. I have heard that they at least probably meant to have the materials to make 8 atomic bombs. So that's in
response. About Russia or
no, that's in response Iran. To Cold Cuts. Cold Cuts said, "What the fuck are you talking about? Iran doesn't have any nuclear weapons." And he's just kind of
working on it.
Yeah. So Wiggy Wom here says Trump's greatest sin, like most Americans, is our willingness to sell each other out for money. Money is more important than anything else to Americans because we have been culturally arrested. That's a lot
of Americans. I would say yes.
Great
some
point,
of us
Wiggy.
Still have some.
I mean, our system is based on money, so I mean,
yeah, but I mean, but that's part of the the issue. Like that's kind of like
it's kind of all the money, throw all the gold in the ocean, and we should all live in a condominium.
It's kind of the original sin as far as like what he's saying. Like you're right, as far as our system is built on that, and where there's going to be a lot of fruits that come from that. Inevitably, you know, I think what Wiggy's talking about here, that's going to be one of the downsides.
Greed always wins in the society.
Yeah.
So you said what? Greed always wins?
Greed, yes.
Or you just get some people in there with some fucking morals. But I mean,
yeah, okay, I agree. We agree, brother.
So you know, but
go ahead.
That's far and few between, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it is, but we know that in what's so crazy to me, we know in everyday life it's not. If you talk to normal people, I think
normal people,
there's many normal people that can take this reason with the limited information that we have and come to a better conclusion than what our state officials end up doing. Deuce, if you can hear me, brother, you're falling in and out. So I don't know if you're here or not, but I'm just letting you know. So Jay said, and realistically, the possibility that Iran is at where we were in 1945 doesn't seem far-fetched to me. I mean, and I do get that. Like I said, I think that that's a fair position to take. I think people that are concerned about the nuclear capabilities of Iran are correct, but that's what the original nuclear plan was meant to address. Yep. And then, like I said, even if that's not the plan that we want to stick to or whatever, we want to just rip it up and change it. I mean, but that's why that was in play, and that's why more things like that need to be pursued and hopefully can become the remedy for a situation like this, rather than, I don't know, what's the idea is to completely destabilize the country so they're incapable of creating nuclear weapons, or do we want to take over Iran essentially so then we can control what their government's doing directly? Yeah,
allow them to govern themselves without the threat of being attacked, to where they don't feel the need to just have nuclear weapons. I don't fucking know, man. I mean, we had something in place that was preventing it. Well, not preventing, but yeah, it was supposed to prevent it. But
can I say something though?
Go ahead, brother.
My thing is here's the thing, right? when we talk about the foreign policy, the big issue is we stack a bunch of foreign policy on top of each other because we switch out these motherfuckers every 2 to 4 years, and they just keep coming with worth policy, right? They don't clean up what the last guy did. They just add to the clusterfuck of bullshit, right? And then it's like with Iran, my biggest question is like there's a lot of countries around the world that have nukes, right? What's one more country in my opinion, like to have nukes?
Right.
But then also it's like what moral authority do we have to tell another country they can't have nuclear missiles?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's like when you go to Saudi Arabia, and I understand why they don't, because when I watched the Saudi prince talk about how if Iran has nuclear missiles, then we need to have nuclear missiles, and then basically you're gonna hear the UAE say the same shit. It's like I get why you don't.
It's the whole idea of the agreement was to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. That's just literally what you're talking about is reasonable, and that's why. Like, I'm not sure if you were on for this either, but we spoke about that as far as like if Iran wasn't working on nuclear weapons, fucking today they're working their ass off on nuclear weapons, like fucking. So it's like
That's my point. Yeah.
I definitely see your point.
And I think also it's because we want their oil, right? They don't have nukes, right? So at the end of the day, when we negotiate oil with them, we have the upper hand every time. We have the leverage, right?
Yeah.
If they have nukes now, we can't go over there and tell them you're giving it us at fucking $1.75 a gallon. You know what I'm saying, or whatever it is, or $3 on the barrel.
So do we agree with us throwing our weight around for our benefit? Again, for American interests, we're going to destabilize countries. Like that's
I bet
is that what we want to stand for? Like is that what we're looking to do? Like I'm confused on the motive.
Yeah,
we do it for allies, bro, and then we get looked at as the shit country around the world.
Yeah,
like people talk about us like we're dog shit.
Dudes, let me hit these comments real quick because we got a few that we hadn't got to for a while. Jakey Wakey says, why would Iran have 8 nuclear bombs and not use them as a deterrent? That would make no sense. So that's, I'm assuming he's responding to you, Jay, as far as like the claim that they may have nuclear weapons. And why would they, sit and trade back and forth missiles and these exchanges that they're losing? If they could just say, hey, I got a nuke and I'll let that shit go.
Why
are they losing
any of ours?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What was that?
Why have we never used any of ours? I think that it's always because of the threat of.
Well, no, he's saying as a deterrent though. So I don't know that he's saying like necessarily use them, but say like, we have the capability now. If you continue to do this, we'll respond. Yeah. So that's the whole idea of nuclear deterrence to begin with, and how effective it is. I think you can look at the evidence like what we were talking about earlier with North Korea, like a country like that's been able to resist American aggression. And I mean, I don't even want to say it because I think that they're a horrible, despisable fucking state. But the reason that we don't just invade them is because they do make that claim and they say we do have nuclear weapons and we aren't concerned about using it. AAG said right before the negotiation talks were about to happen, the negotiators were assassinated by the most moral people in the world. Trump seems to have known that was going to happen. Yeah, I think that's definitely the evidence. And also just, so thank you for mentioning that, by the way, the negotiator specifically, the top negotiator for Iran was assassinated. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not. We've been talking for a while. I think it's important to say it. When we criticize how Israel has went about their war in Gaza, I think we have to look at the precision in which they attacked the structure in Iran and really look at the whole Gaza situation even more incredulously now and say like, I don't, if you had
Ho is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I just think that the civilian casualties, which we obviously know that has been the mark on Israel for the last 2 years.
What's the number
now? They're claiming, by the way, just want to say this last thing. Now they're using that same fucking argument. They're saying Iran is bombing our civilians and civilian locations and all this shit. It's like this is the same shit that you were fucking doing and like saying like, well, what else do you want us to do? Basically, they have weapon caches in that fucking daycare. But
you guys have underground bases.
What's the number of Palestinians that they've killed?
So the numbers are not agreed upon, because I mean, So the Palestinians have a number. Israel obviously disputes that. And I'll pull that here. Let's see.
Of course they do.
You will never see the real number.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So
But
what's
I'll
the
tell you
in-between?
this: when they clear that rubble, you're gonna find hundreds and thousands of bodies.
There has
Hundreds of
been
thousands of
millions of
bodies.
people dead.
Bro, it's like what, 7 square miles, and you were bombing it for fucking a month? Like, what the fuck?
So this says, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health, at least 55,637 Palestinians have been killed in the Israel-Hamas war that began in October 2023.
And there was only 30,000 Hamas. Think about that.
Yeah. The Israel war was triggered by a Hamas-led attack on Israel,
October 7th.
resulting in the deaths of approximately 1,200 people. So they killed 1,200 people, and then they turned around and leveled the entire fucking area and killed 55,000.
Which you remember, I told you I had
they
a
picked the fight
customer.
and then they picked the fight with Iran after. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But remember, I had a customer who, dude, I'll never forget like how weird that experience was. But going in and like him telling me like offering me some like food, like a pie.
Hell yeah.
Because it was a Jewish holiday. So I asked him, I said, okay. I said, now is this like there's like 2 different levels of like Jewish, right? He's like, yeah. I said, which one? He's like, it's Yiddish. I said, okay. So he starts telling me how
I'm a genocider.
how his parents are Yiddish. I said, oh, okay, that's cool. So then he told me how he went back to Israel and joined the IDF, did his 4 years.
Oh yeah.
So then he asked me as I'm walking out, like, so what do you think? And now this is early on. And he's like, so what do you think about what's going on? And I'm like, well, I don't have nearly enough knowledge on like the history of it. I said, but obviously you were attacked. I believe in if you're attacked, you can retaliate. I said, but there has to be a line where it's like now it's genocide or something on the verge of. And remember, his response was that Palestinians are taught to kill Jews in school.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, now is this propaganda that you're being pushed by like your state media or is like news, or is this like you've seen this firsthand? He said, no, I've seen this firsthand from being over there.
Plus, what's that matter? That doesn't mean you could just fucking indiscriminately kill them.
Well, I asked him, where does it stop? And he said, I'm sorry to say this, but you don't. And his answer was to level it, and a complete and utter
get him on the pod
extinction of people. And it's like, I looked at him and I told him, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that. Like, I feel like I'm like, aren't you worried about creating more extremists amongst the region, like against you? And he said that no, because in their opinion, what it is that they're teaching you this is what happens when you come at us. So this is supposed to be an example. And it's like, well, dude, you can't just bomb the whole fucking region.
Yeah.
And so I don't know from that conversation.
What can we say?
I don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead, Deuce. What do you guys say?
Where did the 2 million people go that were living there?
What do you mean?
There was like 2.5 women, children that were living in Gaza. Where did they go? They killed 55,000.
No, a lot of them left if they could, and then a lot of them are still in the area. They're dying.
They're dying of famine.
They're starving right now. Well, I mean, so that was the word right before this broke out, which is another sad thing because I feel like we had a spotlight on that conflict and that specific situation with Israel not allowing aid trucks in. And then once the conversation really started to shift in that way, you have this Iranian conflict, which has completely overwhelmed that discussion, I feel.
And not just blocking aid, bombing aid.
Oh, yeah.
Sending airstrikes on the fucking aid.
Let me get to these comments because a few of them, like I said, were from a little bit ago. AAG says, right before the negotiation, okay, so that's one that we left off on. Yes, Israelis have a much higher standard of living than we do. Nobody is on food stamps there, etc. And I think that's in reference to when I was talking about that they had free health care, things of that nature, and us like kind of subsidizing their living while in this country we don't have near that level of quality of life. Wiggy Wom says that's the biblical backdrop to all of this. I'm not sure exactly what you might be referring to. Maybe it was the Tucker Carlson video, but you'll have to let me know, Wiggy Wom. AAG says, were it not for Israel, in quotes, to use Senator Biden's phrase, should we have ever considered Iran to be a threat to us? Are they, or only to Israel? seriously, it's just Israel dragging us into their shit. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that's a great point. I think even worst case scenario, I still think that being directly involved in the diplomacy is a great idea. And there's such thing as like kind of exhibiting soft power in the world, and that's where that comes in when you bring people to the table. And here, do something. Mute you for 1 second because I hear feedback. But yeah, so I mean, I think that what was I saying? But we're in agreement. Israel's pulling us for sure in. I don't think that we have the same level of dog in this fight. And through all this conversation, I can see why Israel may be concerned and why they're right to have some concern, but how they're going about addressing the issue. It's not something that we can actively support. It's just fucking insane.
It is bullshit.
Here, let's go ahead. I gotta run through these videos because it is getting late, and I have a few videos that I want to just run through real quick. We probably don't have the time. Well, here, actually, let's just do this one first.
Living around, by the way,
I don't know the population
at all.
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about
You're going to kill them all.
Those people, their bodies, their corpses. Why do I care?
You're going to kill them all. That's
what do numbers matter? It's just shit that gets in the way.
And just anybody that's watching this is in reference to this conversation.
Yeah.
The thumbnail where it shows Tucker Carlson and he's like asking Luke Skywalker how many people are on the Death Star. That's what Ted Cruz posted that on Twitter in response to this conversation. Basically making the comparison between Iran
and
to the Death Star, which
which is wild.
The funny thing with
Israel's
the funny thing with that,
imperialist.
and it's such a crazy fucking egomaniac, fucking narcissist, crazy thing to do because the picture basically insinuates, because I mean Luke Skywalker blows that shit up. So him like interviewing Luke Skywalker asking how many people are on the Death Star, it kind of like it likens it in a really weird way where it's like, you know, Luke Skywalker made the decision that you can blow up the fucking Death Star. Why the fuck can't we blow up Iran? Now, never mind that fucking the Death Star was a fucking like military base in fucking outer space,
right?
That traveled around and blew up fucking planets.
Was imperialist.
They were also, yes, but they definitely had the Death Star was a weapon of mass destruction. Let's be clear.
Yep.
So
yes, 100%.
Yeah, so it's just a funny
fucking people.
I mean, but also really sad. Really.
Yeah, we don't want to go over that. We don't want to skip over that. Kill a million.
Yeah, I love
yeah, we got to bring
listen, but you got to love this cannibalism that's going on in this
yeah. All right, let's get back to the Zodiac Killer.
Feed the machine, baby.
Country.
I didn't say I don't know anything about.
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
what
predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even. You don't know anything about
like, all right, don't ask me more than one question.
Yeah. My brain hurts.
Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
claims anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that part. That part. How do you feel about that?
I mean, they try to murder every sitting president of the United States.
I'm asking you because they've directly kind of correlated the assassination attempts on Trump, and now they're saying that Iran is responsible for that. Once again, another.
Oh, wait. They're trying to say Iran is responsible for the Pennsylvania and the golf course.
All three assassinations.
What's the third one?
Well,
there was three. There was one. There was two at a golf course, and then there was the one at the.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, though, the thing is, it's such retro kind of like active rationalization, and then weaponizing kind of like how emotional that was for a lot of MAGA supporters, like that Trump had been
But first it was Dems, and they were for sure positive it was Dems. Now it's Iran.
It was liberal Iranians.
So now are the Dems supposed to? Are we working with Iran on this? How is it again? And then somehow Russia, right now, and then Russia's going to be linked to us too. Like again, it's I don't know.
If Iran orchestrated that teenage boy who was having a good life and then all of a sudden decided to go get ARs, start training to assassinate Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. I mean, that to me, dude, Trump's tripping with that. That's a
well,
stretch.
you'll be surprised.
That's a stretch.
You'll be surprised how persuasive, fucking 100 Virgins is. You know what I mean?
I mean, dog. Over the internet though, you must be sending you a lot of pictures of that point,
brother.
No, you don't even need to provide the pictures. You just say, "Hey, it's gonna happen after you die. Trust me."
Oh Jesus Christ!
They'll be there with
probably, and his poor ass probably. His poor guy probably believed it. Jesus.
Oh hell yeah, bro! He was fucking beating his fucking little pecker every night, thinking about all the virgins he was gonna get.
He took 3 shots at Trump and said, "Hey, you guys haven't killed me yet."
Yeah. He's like, God damn.
That ear grew back perfectly well.
Virgins, fuck.
Motherfucker probably stood up and started doing jumping jacks. I'm here.
His ass was like, "Fuck, you're gonna make me send Trump to the virgins." He's gonna take all my virgins and grab him by the pussy. All right, let's go.
Who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Oh, yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was
right with our help. I said we. Israel.
Here, hold on. This is important. This is important so we can dissect this and what exactly.
Tucker's a smart motherfucker, boy. Let me get this motherfucker so hot. He's just gonna spill all the beans like a dumbass.
Yeah, it's true. You can tell by how he's adjusting in his chair over and over again.
Oh, but
he leans forward. He's like, I could swing. He's like, I can't swing.
He wants to fight. Yeah, he wants to fight. Right.
Well, his dad was a Zodiac killer, so he probably has those same tendencies. It's like a Dexter situation.
No shit.
He's like my fucking third passenger.
Fight. That guy can you see that jaw?
Can he stab though? Can he stab?
That's true.
He was a Zodiac killer for real?
No, it was a joke when he was running for president. That people were saying that his dad was a Zodiac killer. It was a whole thing.
Oh shit, he looked like it though.
He does. That's the thing.
It's fun to talk about.
It is fun to talk about. And I like just saying it for comedy.
Military strikes against them in retaliation.
Hey,
really believe
to piss him off.
Yeah, you should say that.
Carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was
right with our help.
With our help.
Oh, my bad. Okay, we're going back one more time. Deuce, don't talk during this, brother. Listen here, because this part's important and I want to get your opinion.
I believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help.
Okay.
Was that a whipsy?
Just
bro, he walked him into that.
Just spending my money and my bombs over there for no reason.
See, I am thinking that, but I think, Paul, you're thinking that might even be more... Right? I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong. Because he says we're carrying out whatever on him right now. So at least when you were saying in the chat, it kind of seemed like you were insinuating that could be like literal, like our bombers are possibly involved.
No. What I'm saying is that us working with Israel.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to put our name on it, but he just did and Israel did. Like we were a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it was American soldiers going over there and dropping the bombs. No.
Okay.
I think he just said the stupidest shit in the world, and Trump's gonna slap the shit out of him when he's gonna look like Elon
because
next
technically, if you take what he said literally, I mean, it definitely could be interpreted like that. So it's like it's just an interesting thing. Yeah. So
here, said Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
You full of shit.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Oh, bro, and then Ted Cruz walks away and goes, that mental gymnastics. And it's like, no, brother, you just fucking stuff.
No, ain't mental gymnastics. You just slow. You
slow.
If he would have done that shit to fucking Vladimir Putin, though, he would have had his fucking head cut off right in the fucking.
He would have slit his wrists and drank his blood on camera.
Fake Tucker finishes the interview.
Yeah, no, but that was a fight. That's what I'm saying. I just got to give him so much credit. But I can't
Tucker finish and shoot him in the head right after on camera.
Yeah, I can't help but be a little disappointed by the fact they put that propaganda out. But at the same time, I do appreciate what he did here.
Oh my God, their grocery stores.
Yeah, so cheap.
You can
so
pay,
full of shit, dude. He literally just said we're bombing fucking Iran. Like, didn't.
Brother.
Yeah, that was wild. And I mean, I think the level of kind of like carelessness for which Ted Cruz is speaking about the issue, I think Tucker really highlighted there of all things. Like, it's like, you don't know like around about the population, of the place. You don't know the people that live there.
The culture at all.
How could we even trust that you know the ins and outs of their fucking nuclear program or whatever we're expecting? It's just
you're so ill-informed.
You're willing to go along with what is going to make you the most money and your benefactors.
I mean, uninformed,
bro. Yeah. And who trusts the Mossad anymore, bro? Who trusts their information? My God, they're terrible.
Yeah,
they're fucking terrible at their jobs at this point.
Or they're good at manipulation.
They're like, oh, we're the best in the world. No, the fuck you're not.
Here, this is a real quick video I want to throw up here.
Иран выполнял все взятые на себя обязательства.
Yeah, you can tell when Putin starts talking.
So this is Putin, by the way, talking about this.
Yeah, you can tell.
He's saying, under the famous agreement, Iran basically didn't have nukes, and he's saying that.
Затем Соединенные Штаты в
одностороннем
порядке решили.
Here, I'll just explain it to you because of how small the wording is. I don't know if people could read that at home. So basically, what he's saying in this video is that why would what we were already talking about? Why would Iran believe that the United States is negotiating in good faith going forward? Because they had the previous Iranian nuclear deal, and then America pulled out of that under Trump, and at the time you had, and he mentions it, you had the EU basically saying like, this is fucking not a good move, this is going to cause issues. So he's basically just speaking on that. I don't know how much credence you guys give to Putin. I was curious your opinion on that. Yeah, because I mean, you have such a strong stance there,
but he's right. But
I think Putin's a good dude.
but he's acting in favor of Iran and that.
Yeah,
but he is correct in that. Again, man,
I don't think he is. I mean, Putin, bro. One thing I tell you this: he's a motherfucker, right? And he's a bastard. But when it comes to when he talks about the U.S., he just talks in truth. He don't have to lie. We give him so much shit to just talk about. He don't even have to lie. He just can say exactly what the fuck we're doing and make us look terrible because it's the truth.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he's not a complete fucking vulture.
No, he's an asshole.
But you are right. We do so much sketchy fucking shit that people can just plainly say it, and people are gonna agree and be like, well, okay, yeah, I mean, that is what's happening just factually, and we see that there's something to that. I don't mean to rush it just because there's one conversation I want to definitely get to, so I gotta get through these videos because I want to make sure I can ask you guys about this specific topic. I think it's a sports topic, so I want to get both your guys' opinion. So the audience, don't get don't look at us crazy because we're going through straight war conversation for fucking 2 hours. And we're like, all right, well, let's talk about fucking NBA. But here, this, let's see. I have the whole.
We're very excited now to be joined by friend of the
boy Dave.
Have you guys seen this with Dave Smith?
No, I haven't. I love this guy.
Okay, you love this guy. Yeah. So
I have seen. I think I shared this on Instagram Reels.
Hell yeah. So I spoke to you a few times through the chat, Deuce. I don't know if you saw them because sometimes you don't respond to certain stuff. And this was a while back, and it had to do with Dave Smith. I felt like, although I didn't agree with his end conclusion, there's a lot of his perspective that I could understand with his kind of pro-Trump stance. And once again, he was, in my opinion, he falls into the camp of not MAGA, not conservative necessarily as much as an anti-Kamala voter, essentially, where it's like that was just such an unacceptable option for him that he voted for Trump. So I think that his commentary throughout has been pretty reasonable. And I think he, in moments where I don't think that there's anything but just to call a spade and criticize what Trump has done, I think Dave Smith has been pretty consistent with that. And I want to show you guys what he talks about here. Let's go ahead.
Show Dave Smith. We're going to be talking about the fallout here from the U.S. involvement in the war between Israel and Iran. But most importantly, we want to get to the actual goal here of the Israeli military campaign. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu really giving the game away yesterday in an interview with Fox News where he calls for regime change with Iran. Let's take a listen.
So is regime change part of the effort here?
Could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to have atomic bombs and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people will throw these theological thugs out. I mean, they murder them. They oppress them for 46 years. They've yearned for freedom. I mean, They shoot women because their hair is uncovered. They shoot students. They just suck the oxygen from this brave and gifted people, the Iranian people.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat. And I want to talk about President.
That's what I'm saying. He's bombing them while he's saying
piece of shit.
That's the crazy thing. It's like sometimes I feel like people, because you hear this consistent kind of rhetoric from even the like hardcore Zionists. I mean, there's some that just say straight fuck the Palestinians, but a lot of them would be like, oh, but we love the Palestinian people. Like we love them.
They're great.
They're creative and so resourceful. It's like when we take all their food away, they still find a way to eat. I saw somebody on Pierce Morgan.
They just fucking survive.
Unfortunately, is how they feel. Let's keep it real. But yeah, so I mean, it's just sick how they talk about it while they're, enacting the worst fucking horrors you can imagine, bombing fucking, central Tehran. And then Trump, by the way, I don't want to draw this out too much, but you have Trump going on Truth and he's saying, everybody evacuate the fucking city of Tehran. And then he calls this fucking mass panic where there's no gas in the area. The highways are fucking cluttered. It's just so insane. And the thing is,
they all died.
Oh, they all died. They didn't all die. They didn't all die. But I'm just thinking, think about how kind of I too might overthink or underthink that in a way where it's like, okay, you don't think about when you're saying, hey, evacuate, that there's not going to be enough gas. Like we know how that is being in Florida when it's a hurricane. We run out of gas every fucking time. So it's like, think about as a leader of the most powerful country in the world, not to consider that kind of fallout from what your statement's going to cause. Obviously, I mean, maybe that was his intention. I think probably not. I think he probably literally just didn't even fucking think about what that kind of level of fucking mass hysteria, some of the downstream effects where now you have people just sitting on the fucking highway like we see in Florida.
He's either an incompetent moron or a very calculated evil genius. It is fucking one of the two, man.
Either or.
I will not accept an in between.
No, I think with Trump, man.
Yeah,
I don't know why he would say that, other than try to give those people a chance to get out. But Benjamin Netanyahu, this motherfucker is sitting up here so prideful with this goal, just sitting here with his chin high, as he just slaughtered probably millions of fucking Palestinians.
Well, I actually
probably goes to church.
I actually paused it here intentionally so you could. Before we get to this next part, because I just want you guys to listen to how he's talking, because he's kind of talking in a way where you could just tell, one, it gives away the game where he needs some kind of go ahead from Trump. But then on top of that, you see where he's kind of actively playing Trump in this. He says oh, the Iranians tried to kill Trump. And then he says, I'm his junior in command. So you can see how he's fucking literally manipulating Trump essentially, and playing to his ego. You can just see it all take place in this conversation. So I'm
he's getting on his knees right now to give him a nice blowy. Please, Trump, come out to the Middle East and save my country.
That is sweet. We love that.
Trump, you just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one.
Bro, they just will say that with everything. You can always just say
proxy. Or you just throw proxy out.
Yeah,
proxy war.
Because if
that was his proxy.
If it's possible they somehow paid, which I guess it's always possible.
How does that broke ass country have all this money to send to all these different fucking people? We gave them money. We gave these motherfuckers $1 billion.
And they use that for proxy against us.
ISIL leader. He's he never took the path that others took to try to bargain with them in a way that is weak, giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb, padding it with billions and billions of dollars. He took up this fake agreement and basically tore it up. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He made it very clear, including now, you cannot have a nuclear weapon, which means you cannot enrich. He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
they
you
understand that?
Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, dude. He gave Iran money too. He's a piece of shit, dude.
Here.
He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
they
you
understand that President Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans?
And when you say that, though, Just fucking come on. Look at this man. You know he's saying that,
They're
but
just
he
full
really
of
is
shit.
like, I'm manipulating you and I'm getting you to do what the fuck I want you to do. And they've been trying to get America to be involved in these kind of like conflicts in the Middle East the entire time, and they've been successful time after time, where we're attacking countries that aren't with the Saudi Arabia shit,
Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq.
I love how he had to throw himself in there.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the junior partner.
What's the one? We even attacked Syria. We attacked
too.
Syria too, and Syria fucking kicked our ass.
Yeah. He's fucking sitting here like they tried to kill me too. That's hilarious, bro. You're fucking bombing the fuck out of them right now. Of course they're trying to kill you. They want you to stop.
Piece of shit, dude. You just
they want you to fucking stop doing that.
He just killed 1 million people. He's like, oh, why do I have a bounty on my head?
To weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump you were going to launch these strikes?
Look, I've been in constant contact with President Trump. We've known each other for many years. And obviously we informed our American friends and President Trump,
He's an
our great
Israeli
friend,
plant?
ahead of
Epstein.
What the fuck does that mean?
You knew about it, of course.
I mean, there were reports that President Trump kind of helped you achieve your strategic surprise by publicly urging you not to attack when he already knew you had decided to do it. So you were closely coordinating with the U.S. throughout this process.
Look, we're fully coordinated, but understand that America, under President Trump, will make the decisions that are best for America. And that's the way it is. He understands that I, as the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, must make the decisions that are important for the survival of my country, and he will do what is best for America. That is a relationship of mutual respect and mutual confidence.
I'm a fucking
there's
liar.
so much.
Say I'm a fucking liar. Go ahead and say it, you piece of shit. One thing he did say that stuck out to me, he said, I've known Trump for years. I've been in constant communication with him. Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Epstein Island is what that means.
Well,
a lot of things, brother. We've been telling you this for years.
Truly,
what the fuck does that mean?
Epstein is Mossad agent.
Everything that he tells you about everyone else is about him. It is his projection. That is what we have learned.
It's the every accusation is a confession kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, with Netanyahu?
No, with Trump.
And Trump.
Yeah, like him saying that all these people were connected to Israel, and then you find out, no, it's you. You've been the one.
Think about how he is honestly selling out, like with all of the fucking I'm the anti-war candidate and all that. How much he is selling out the people that voted for him. And I'm not talking about his base. I'm saying the people, like I said, I don't know if you voted, if you actually
really on the fence.
Trump,
And
yeah,
there are people
I don't consider
really
you a
on the
Republican,
fence, bro.
I don't consider you a Republican, but I think that there's completely fair reasons as to why you may come to the conclusion why you didn't want to vote Democrat. But think about how he's shitting in the face of all those people when you see things like this, and you see.
No, he can't go to war, bro. He's not going to do it.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah,
he's not going to do it. In my opinion, if he does it, he would literally be shitting on his legacy. And that's one thing about Trump. He refuses to.
That's possible. Well, I think that's possible. And we talked about when we did that stream during the No King's Day and shit like that. We talked about, I don't know if you were on at that time or not, Deuce, but we were saying, like, do we think that these kind of things actually make a difference? And I think that they do. I think when Trump sees these kind of things, it doesn't always make the difference that we want, because it just gets a response regardless. Now, sometimes the response is actually negative and not how you wanted it to go. But I think anything's better than like a complete idle hand and just letting this shit kind of take place in front of us. It's like definitely something has to give. And we as a country, I think us as normal people in this country would say we gain nothing from the wars in Iraq and those wars in the Middle East. We only lost wealth, people, mainly like human beings that should be here, Americans that should be here, and then people that were in the Middle East as well. But as a country, if you're just thinking about it from the America First perspective, like we lost in that we may have killed more, but we lost, you know what I mean, as a country. And I don't know if you have anything else to say before I hit this again.
No, go ahead.
Deuce, you have anything?
Oh, you're good. Do you think?
Going on there, Dave? There is regime change. There is the flattery and the lies potentially about this some so-called Iranian plot to assassinate Trump, and then finally there is the really buttering it up, but calling Trump to join him in this war on regime change. Just broadly, we want to give you the floor, both to react to that and to the entire situation here.
Yeah, well, it's just you're allowed to throw as many.
Please.
What I was going to say is what really bothers me is the fact that, again, we hit on it before, but just to reiterate, how he's playing this game of like taking this as so lightly as I'm going to go on social media to be like, hey, look, everything's okay while you know this is going on. And then Netanyahu being on television, literally saying, look, he kind of told them everything was going to be fine and we attacked. Yeah. And it's like, that shit is so wild to just accept as an American from your fucking president.
You know, the thing, I think we spoke about it earlier as far as like where I think it could go two ways. And I think both are actually possible. I think it's possible that Trump, to some extent, was negotiating or had his negotiators negotiating in good faith. And then Israel may have, I think it is possible, Israel may have undermined America's negotiations. I don't think that's impossible. Okay. And I think that to a certain degree, if that did happen, it would put Trump on the back foot, where he has to either look incompetent, like, hey, I wasn't in the know when they just did that. And I think
look weak.
It'll look weak. And I think, like, even if that was actually the case, I could see a situation where the Trump administration would basically lie in front face and be like, oh no, they can't, basically get on board, which is the goal of Israel to be.
He should have pivoted, bro. He should have pivoted. And that was the perfect. If Netanyahu would have did it to me, I'd have hit the meanest pivot. I'd be like, oh, I'd have came out, I would have looked incompetent. I'd have did it. I'd be like, yep, you know what? I was negotiating for those bastards. They came out, they sent those missiles. So now America's pulling out. They're going to deal with that on their own. And Iran will deal with Iran separately on their own. And you know what? Even at that point, bro, to me, that's such a bad act of that's such a bad show of character to me personally.
Yeah.
It's so disrespectful. There might have to be retaliation for that. Because you put America's face card on the line, right, with every other Middle Eastern country in negotiations, because you bombed a country as we're saying, hey, it's going to be peaceful. We're not going to do anything. We're going to keep it all cool. It's just such a bad look, dude, for America. I don't know, dude.
No, I agree.
It's really telling about how embedded we are with Israel.
This is so, and Jay says, and this was kind of like the other end of that, I think, as far as like when I was saying there's two ways it could have went. We don't know and still claim to have known. And then this is the other side of that coin. I think Jay says we could have also green-lidded BB. If we get involved, I'd say we had intentions of going into Iran when Israel started their missile attack. So I think that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Definitely the way that we move going forward. But I mean, I hate to be an asshole here but not really, I guess I just gotta keep it real. With Trump, it's like, I do think that he has such a fucking out of control ego that he could be goaded into this kind of conflict after the fact based off of what we talked about. But I do think it's also possible what you're saying, Jay, that, it was a conversation that they had to begin with, and they were already saying like, hey, Israel, we want to attack. We're going to act like we're going to continue to have these conversations, put Iran in a kind of like false sense of security, and then you go ahead and do what you do, and we'll claim whatever we claim afterwards. I think that's totally a possibility. But the thing is, I think that's as deplorable, to be honest, if not worse, honestly, because if that's the case, the other sign is just like completely like weak and weird characteristics for a person to have. This is more of a malicious kind of, it's basically like the president himself being involved directly in like some kind of like subterfuge or whatever.
Some espionage type backdoor clandestine bullshit.
Literally, yeah. That's the shit that the engines used to do. We fucking, either way. I'm just playing. I'm kidding, guys. God, Paul was like, "Whoa, hold on." The first people.
He lies at the wall as you want to when you're selling a wall.
Hold on, real quick. So just because we stepped away from it, I'm just going to rewind just a little bit, just so we get the question again.
There is the really.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna let him
buttering it up, but calling Trump to join him in this war on regime change. Just broadly, we want to give you the floor, both to react to that and to the entire situation here.
Yeah, well, it's just you're allowed to throw as many lies at the wall as you want to when you're selling a war. So there's a lot there to kind of unpack. Number one, I would just say, first off, the accusation that Iran was trying to assassinate Donald Trump just doesn't meet the most basic of smell tests. I mean, so you're telling me that the Iranian regime essentially declared war on the United States of America already, tried to murder the sitting president, and yet his response was to try to negotiate with them for a couple months until finally we had Israel attack them. Does that make sense to anybody?
He's frying their ass right now.
They tried to murder Donald Trump, and then he entered negotiations with that. Come on, this is too ridiculous. And you could go back. The thing about Saddam Hussein that a lot of people kind of forget in history is that it is true that at one point Saddam Hussein did have what you could call weapons of mass destruction. He used chemical weapons in his 1980 through 1986 war with Iran, and was supported by the United States of America while he did it. He then got rid of those weapons programs, and the neocons and Benjamin Netanyahu himself, you can read in his writing in the 90s when he was telling us that Iran was a few years away from a nuclear weapon all the way back then. But he was also saying that they wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein for other reasons, for their clean break strategy. You can read about this in the Project for a New American Century, in the Clean Break memo written by Richard Pearl and David Wormser. They talked about
cooking shit.
This over and over and over again. And then after 9/11, they said the issue here is weapons of mass destruction. But that was, they always wanted the regime change. And so it's the same thing again. The goal here has been regime change in Iran. He's been open about this. He even admitted it a little bit there. But let's just take them. Look, let's just really assess the situation where we are right now. Let's take them by their own logic. If, as all the hawks are bragging right now, or saying that essentially Israel was already at war with Iran because Iran attacked first on October 7th. Their proxies attacked. And what does that mean? It's like when they say Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror. Do they ever have to back that up with data? Do they ever, have you ever heard one war hawk who makes the claim that Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror ever, show you, look, this is how much terrorists have gotten support from Saudi, and this is how much more they've gotten from Iran? No, they never even feel the need to make this argument. Compare how much money the U.S. has given to terrorist organizations, or Israel has given to terrorist organizations, or Israel has facilitated other countries give it. There's no objective standard here. But if essentially the standard is because Iran has given Hamas some weapons in the past, therefore they're a proxy, and therefore when they attack Israel on October 7th, Iran has attacked Israel. Well then, what is Israel attacking Iran? Other than the U.S. attacking Iran, right? If that's not, and come on, and look, this is
proxy state.
Yeah, same with Ukraine and Russia. It's the same line of argumentation.
So but this one is so much more devastating because it's not just that we give Israel the weapons and the money and the intelligence, but at the very least here, we had people, we had evacuation orders 24 to 48 hours before the attack came. Donald Trump is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Netanyahu here is clearly saying that Donald Trump knew this attack was coming. So imagine they had that on Iran with October 7th. They don't have anything close to that. So make no mistake about it. We are at war with Iran right now. The United States of America is. Donald Trump has betrayed MAGA, betrayed America first. He has made the most disastrous decision to lead America into another war. Now, if they want to say that, look, there is an argument here, I suppose, that perhaps Iran is a better candidate for a regime change than Iraq or Libya was. This is the argument they're going to make.
This is...
Nah, we shouldn't have touched Libya. That was bullshit. The way they did Gaddafi, man had a fucking sword shoved in his ass. Came out of his mouth.
Yeah, no, they turned his ass into an SVU episode. Shit was sick.
Bro, I saw that video. I was like, oh my God, bro.
Yeah, I wish to never see that video. But I'm glad that, like you said it earlier, then he's saying that. I never need to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's
that should have never been released to the public.
Listen, dog.
America wanted to let you know.
This is what we do.
So bad watching that video, bro. My stomach, I felt like that was happening to me. I was like, oh,
gold.
Yeah, man got turned into a meat puppet.
Turned
his ass into Annabelle.
A human kebab.
Bro, literally a fucking meat skewer.
Yeah, that's rough.
More compelling argument that we're staring at yet another disaster. And as you were pointing out, Crystal, I heard a little bit of your segment as I was waiting here. Yeah. As you were pointing out, which I think is really the most important point, is that this is the celebrating. It's just unbelievable. It's 24 hours into it. They're all celebrating how easy this was. Look, I remember I was a little kid at the time, but I do vividly remember the celebrations after the Gulf War in 1991. And they were like, look how easy that was. And we didn't take any losses. We went on to be bogged down in that country for 30 years following that war. We all remember the mission accomplishment. We all remember Hillary Clinton saying, we came, we saw, he's dead. A few years later, when she was running for president, she wouldn't dare bring up Libya because because it was so obviously a colossal failure. So the people celebrating this right now are just, they've lost their minds.
I mean,
people get swept up in war fever.
The flashbacks, the WMD talk, the like celebratory mission accomplished vibe, in that clip with Bibi, and I've heard so many others say this, they're yearning for freedom. I mean, it's just like, it makes me feel like is everybody just erased their memories of what happened here? Yeah. It's utterly insane to me. And to your point about our involvement, let's put this next piece up on the screen. We now know that at least the recent discussions about, diplomatic negotiations and, hey, we're going.
I'm just going to read this. I don't know if they're going to read it. It says a U.S. official confirmed to me that over the weekend, Israel had an operational window to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, but President Trump made it clear that he is against such a move. This was first reported by Steve Holland. So I don't know if they're going to end up reading that.
Went forward with these talks this weekend was a ruse to provide cover and the element of surprise for the Israelis.
And by the way, if that's true, it shows how much pull America has in this situation, because he's like the only one that didn't die.
let's say this.
They killed everybody
there
else.
could be a regime change in the Middle East, but it ain't in Iran. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, Israel definitely needs one. I'm not saying that Iran. Yeah, I'm not saying Iran does. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just how we go about changing that is the whole.
Like two brothers just fucking bickering over the same goddamn toy. Put them both in timeout.
No, I'm with you.
So now you have this report. A U.S. official confirmed to me over the weekend Israel had an operational window to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, but President Trump made it clear he is against such a move. This was first reported by Steve Holland. There is no reason for anyone, us, the Iranians, anyone, to believe these reports. I mean, it does remind me of, during the Biden, they're very upset with Netanyahu leaking to always Barack Ravi. They're very upset with him, et cetera, et cetera. Why would anyone ever
the whole time for the Biden administration? They're really fucking mad that they're bombing people. Here's the bombs.
Yep.
Believe a word that comes from Trump or Steve Witkoff or anyone else associated with this administration after they've gloated about the fact that they were using diplomatic negotiations as a tool to help kick off this war. I mean, I'm seeing this. I'm curious your thoughts about this, Dave. I've seen this analysis that Trump was persuaded, this might be true, was persuaded by Bibi that he would have a better hand going into negotiations with Iran if he let Israel start this war and participated, as we've indicated, in starting this war. That is the most idiotic, insane possible analysis I can imagine. I guess it's possible that he really is that absolutely idiotic. But, what do you make of that? Is that really
they have crystal balls? She's going in right.
What happened here? And what do you make of this report that supposedly, he was the cooler head and said you can't take out the supreme leader?
Hey everybody,
what the fuck is JD Vance when you need him?
Well, he's signing off on everything Trump does.
No, JD's over there fucking kissing babies and shaking hands.
Is there going to be a golf resort in Iran? He is doing all that fucking. He's just politicking.
Yeah, well, I'd say Trump might be that idiotic. And he
you already said
that might be idiotic.
Yeah, he said Trump might be that idiotic.
He has, again, we're kind of speculating here, but he has bragged in the past several times about how he's so smart for keeping these hawks around, because then that puts all these pressure on people to come to the negotiating table.
That's why he said he had John Bolton.
Yeah, his example was John Bolton, who killed the deal with North Korea. Like, that was his example of it being like such a stunning success or something like that. It reminds me of like when people brag about the Abraham Accords and what a success they were, and you're like, oh yeah, they worked out so great. They led to this. Like,
did you have something you want to say?
Yeah. Is this a right-wing podcast?
No, he's No, he's a what's it called?
Well, this isn't on his podcast. This is Breaking Point. So Breaking Points has one liberal and it has one conservative. The Indian guy's conservative, and then Crystal is
gotcha. Okay.
And then they have him as a guest. He's a libertarian, so he would be, like economically conservative, socially a little bit more liberal. But they've had a little libertarianism has went through a little bit of a schism recently, where they've kind of been trying to like re-identify themselves a little bit. And he's been a huge part of that. And I think he's been a really honestly reasonable person. I don't agree with a lot of his points, but that's why I sent his shit in the chat. I said this is somebody on that side of the aisle, and I know Deuce is a big fan of him. That's why I know if I sent shit from him, that's somebody whose point of view you might appreciate. And yeah, I mean, I think he's been consistent, and he was more pro-Trump, but I think he's reckoning with that in these conversations, and I think that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Let's
My bad.
I don't even understand how you could, it'd be one thing if peace swept the Middle East after the Abraham Accords, and you go, oh, okay, maybe they played a role, but it's been a nightmare all across, the worst fighting that we've had there in 20 years. And so since our last disastrous invasions. But so, look, I mean, it seems to me like there's a couple possibilities here. None of them are good. One of the possibility is that, which I think is plausibly the case, that Israel betrayed Donald Trump, and then this is just his best way to deal with it. Like, essentially, Donald Trump was trying to negotiate, and then Israel just went ahead and launched the attack anyway. And then as a response to that, Donald Trump would rather look strong and go, no, I was in on it. It was our plan all along. Or the other possibility, which I think is more likely, is that he was never negotiating in good faith, and it was a distraction, and Donald Trump was in on it. Either way, we're at the same place.
Yeah.
Either way, even if Donald Trump was betrayed by the Israelis and then just took their side in public, which has happened with different presidencies over the years. It's certainly happened with Bill Clinton after Camp David. So maybe that's the case. But then either way, then you're just so weak and pathetic that even after the Israelis betray you, you'll still come out and catch their back and support them in this war. Well, that's just as bad from the Iranian perspective and from any reasonable person's perspective. Yeah. So, we don't know. We'll probably find out more about this over time. But either way, in effect, it's the same thing. And then we're left in the position where you're supposed to sit here and justify a sneak, aggressive, preemptive attack. Exactly. Like somehow you're supposed to feel like you're the good guys in an absolute war of choice against a country that does not have nuclear weapons. Let's get real here. The only country in the Middle East who secretly has nuclear weapons is Israel. Yes. Iran is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel is not, and they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and they're a rogue nation attacking six of their neighbors as we speak, and are not part of the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Yeah, we actually have
cool with that.
We have a non-compliant nuclear member of the NPT actually attacking a member of the NPT who is far more in compliance with said international treaty. Hey, whatever. What do I know, right? What's
they're cooking shit right now.
So he might be Iranian.
It seems like something that a lot of people will agree with.
Biased, but that's
no, he's not Iranian. He's Indian. He's Indian. But by the way, just to shout out Breaking Points. By the way, great show. This is one of the shows I watch more than any. And I think they do give good commentary on these things because they have differing opinions on things. So it's like, I think,
commend the jaws on her.
Everything's well
represented. She got some jaws on her, boy. God, yeah.
No, hey, if she looks mad, and she is mad.
What's even crazier to me, Dave, is just like the lead up to the war in Iraq, we already have our Ahmed Talibi. I actually can't believe it, or our 1953 Operation Ajax. Let's go and put B4, please, up on the screen. We actually have members of the Israeli government who are tweeting out pictures of the son of the Shah of Iran, basically insinuating that they are going to re-implement the monarchy on the people of Iran. It's like 1953 all over again, or just like this, fascination with these Western figures who have lived here, for their entire lives almost at this point. We're like, oh, actually, these guys, because we're buddies and they agree with us, the people of Iran will totally take to that, and we're going to implement this new regime. They're not even being subtle about it. Like I said, these are literally members of the Israeli government who are teasing basically the restoration of the monarchy in Iran by force. It's like 2003 all over again, where we have this buddy here, like you said, with the neocons in Washington, and then this theory that we can just go in, blow out the regime, and then we're going to implement this new style of government. I mean, this is as naked as it gets, in my opinion, on all of this. And I want you to just...
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile.
Oh, hey, Ryan. Guys, I'll never pay for that fucking YouTube
Ryan Reynolds.
I do have a way around that, though, by the way. I'll share that on a special video one of these times. I've got it off Instagram.
Go through, perhaps, because you're so well read on the history of these, these attempts by the United States and others to install these types of figures. And it never, ever works out. When will we ever back the right horse in the Middle East?
Yeah. And of course, look, installing the Shah to begin with.
Go ahead.
Stop trying to choose who represents it and let the people do it.
That is
We
the
don't know the
dumbest
culture.
shit.
We
I'm not
don't know
letting
the
Israel
culture,
choose
bro.
Iran's leader. What the fuck is that?
I think
That
he's saying
is-
like Iranians should choose who Iran's
Yeah.
leaders are and all that.
Yeah, let them
but I mean,
choose.
no,
the
I
thing
agree.
is-
No, I agree with him.
yeah, the thing is, you have situations where it's like, you know, can you really confidently say that the people of Russia chose Vladimir Putin? Like 90% of them.
Well,
I mean,
there's
so it might be a little fishy
there's
there.
been some speculations.
I'm gonna
about
say
it.
they did choose, but it was by force.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, I don't
Not
know.
much of
It's
an
tough.
opposition.
It's tough because like not all those scenarios are equal, and there are like, you know, people who are just tyrannical.
Well, there
kinda
was
like
anyone to bomb.
But think about that, bro. Think about that. You're an Iranian man, and you have Israel posting you on their social media saying soon in Tehran, as your people are gonna get fucking leveled.
Yeah. No, of course.
Like, and you're gonna trust these people to be your
Well, I
friend?
mean, I
No.
mean, and you're not going to create a nuclear weapon at this point. That's out the fucking door. I'm not going to be naive and think that there's not some stuff that they're up to that was maybe off the record, and I could see why they'd be incentivized to do so. But like I said, now if your goal is to get them to stop doing that, this is literally like the worst thing you could do. That's
She got a
opposite.
jaws, boy.
Yeah, no, yeah. Also, thank you for that. Jay said, "Old girl got them jaws, boy." Yeah, no, she's she does a lot of talking.
in 1953 is a huge part of the reason why we have the current government in Iran that we have, which is a horrible, repressive government that does not give their people liberty, and we should all, you know, oppose that. But the thing is that war is so much worse. You know, it's like Saddam Hussein was a brutal, oppressive dictator also, but the worst thing that ever happened to the people of Iraq was George W. Bush invading the country. And, you know, the only examples that people look to, which are, you know, rather remarkable examples of regime change, are Germany and Japan, and how they were brought back into the, you know, liberal international order after World War II. But what was required in order to get to that point was a clear war on the civilian population with, you know, millions of casualties. And that, like, if your argument is we should bring that to Iran, then don't tell me one word about how you care about how the people of Iran are being oppressed, because that's a far worse, you know, level of oppression. And so, you know, this is, again, as you guys have touched on, this is always how they talk at the beginning of these wars. It's always that democracy will sweep the region and that the people will greet us as liberators. It'll be easy, paid for in oil, all this stuff. But, you know, sit here and tell me about how Washington, D.C. or Tel Aviv can, you know, reorchestrate another society, can reconstruct it from the ground and choose its leaderships. I mean, just think about the hubris involved in that. As the late, great Harry Brown used to point out when he was talking about the war on drugs in the United States of America, the U.S. federal government can't even keep drugs out of federal prisons. Washington, D.C. can't even solve the violent crime problem in Washington, D.C. But you're telling me we're going to install the new leader for the Iranians and the people will comply because what? Because the regime is so weak and the people want liberty so much? This regime has ruled since 1979 with the most powerful governments in the world opposing them, working on ousting them the entire time. And they've still stayed in power. So you could tell me a nice story. It's easy to write down a nice story. Oh yeah, I say we intervene and then we put the Shah's son back in and then everything works out fine. Okay, let's see that happen. And you know, the other thing that I'll add, and I don't know, I mean, maybe things have changed to some degree. I mean, certainly Israel was able to pull off that drone attack, which I don't think they would have been able to pull off in years past. But it was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. And we've already seen demonstrated since the Israeli attack that the Iranian, the missiles that they sent last year toward Israel, as many of us guessed, that wasn't really their best. They were intentionally making an attack that wouldn't really hurt anybody, that wouldn't really lead to a war, which Iran has done over and over again. But now we've pushed them to the point where they probably don't feel that they have the option not to respond. And Donald Trump telling them to come back to the negotiating table now is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, what a impotent leader to be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Wow. And not
big words.
How do you feel about that?
Fuck, let it ride. Let me hear the last little bit of that. Jesus.
Yeah, he fired his ass up. I mean, and the thing is, that kind of like honesty, though, that's what I think that's something that we should commend and appreciate. WW Storm says, we're commanded to support Israel. OMG. What a bunch of crap. What religion calls for that? Not the Bible. Love it. Yeah, no, we're in agreement. It's all about the money. Ted or the rest of these fanatics aren't interested in religion. That's why I'm against organized religion. Fair enough. No.
Fair enough. Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to confuse.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's something that we're using to. I mean, I think it really preys upon people who take their faith extremely seriously and put that to the forefront of their politics. I think that's who he's trying to prey on in that scenario, and I think it's sick. And then to do what they're doing as far as like waging these wars in the name of, I mean, whatever.
In the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Americans. Like I said, this is not a situation where we reap the rewards of these kind of like conflicts. It only applies more pressure onto the citizenry of this country. So it's just
fucking financially and goddamn with safety traveling the world now. Now we got to worry about fucking people trying to kill us all over again.
Yeah. AG. Hey, I appreciate you. Let's see. There's more insight here. Also, people aren't so free in Israel. Gay people aren't allowed by law to get married. Christians can't be too vocal about their faith. Can't protest against the genocide. Democracy, my backside.
Well, yeah, I thought they were supposed to be all about the freedom.
No, actually, yeah, the Israel is actually like they're kicking out the Ethiopian Christians or whatever.
Whoa.
I have heard some things though, like through this conflict.
That guy got to go.
People have criticized
BBS.
People have criticized America through this in a lot of ways, as far as like saying that even press in Israel they've been able or been willing to be more critical than even American journalism. So just something to throw out there. I mean, I'm not saying that there
is Al
Jazeera.
Is that still banned
in Israel?
Because wasn't it supposed to be a temporary ban?
Let's see.
I thought we talked about that a couple years ago.
Isn't that crazy though? Like that you can't trust any of the fucking media,
bro. That's the thing is
in any fucking country.
Like everything that
Al Jazeera is banned.
Damn, everything that I see is like I don't know what to believe, and that's why it's like I don't know the answer with Iran to give you like the best answer.
Sure,
but because it's like I don't know how much is true from the right, how much is true from the left, because all of it's such fucking one-sided. Very little do you find that's just being honest, and then you don't know who's paid for and bought by Israel, who's not, who all like both sides. What is it?
Yeah, well, I mean,
it is both sides. Sure. That's the problem.
It is definitely both sides, and I mean, this is a great conversation. And Deuce, I guess I'll throw it to you because you followed Dave more than probably both of us. How do you feel about that kind of like he didn't sugarcoat it? That's straight up proclamation statement. So it's like I wonder how you feel about that.
Do you agree with the impeachment, Denzel? Deuce?
I mean, listen, I don't think we can impeach a president for making a poor decision. You know, trusting a fucking ally who's a piece of shit. But I do feel like this is definitely a big miscalculation by Trump. I think, like I said in the chat, people are definitely going to be vocal about it. And like Dave Smith took it up a notch with the impeachment, but like I think people should be vocal about it. People should call him out on it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's going to hold him accountable to understanding like no matter what happens with Israel or Ukraine, if the American people do not want that war, we do not want that war. And that is what it is. Now, if you want to financially help them or send them weapons, the American people need to want that too.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's just what it is. Like you represent the American people.
I understand that that's more of an ambiguous line though, and there is like this clear line. I think with like I said, even some of the most staunch or anti-Democrat people, that the war thing, like you sending troops, you mobilizing troops, even if it goes to us being like directly involved in bombing campaigns, I think that's a red line for a lot of people, and I think you'll lose a lot of that support, even the support that you felt like you had in the bag. I think this is such a like I said, just red line. That's really the best way to put it.
He's riding on a high horse right now. Trump needs to come back down to earth, because that high horse he's on, that's just gonna be that shit will get his legacy will be tarnished, and he needs to realize that. Like, you promised no wars. That was the number one thing everybody checked off on. Then it was immigration. He's trying to act like it was immigration first, then no wars. No, bitch. It was no wars, then it was immigration. People are gonna hold you accountable to that, and he needs to expect that. And if he doesn't, then he's an idiot, and his legacy will be wrung through the mud. That's all you will hear about for the next 3 years.
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because I think with the immigration, you can argue that when he first started to really attack immigration, I mean, I think people would look back on that probably fondly, and I think that his record, I think he did have a positive record with the U.S. public based off of that. But I think the longer that went with the deportations, I think that's when we started it to kind of see it turn. And then this has really compounded on top of the negative feeling that they started to have with, like, sending ICE into cities to just like round people up and shit like that. So I mean, I think like that was where we first started to see it start to go negative, and I think this is just really taking that momentum and taking it in the wrong direction for Trump. But I think ultimately I think it should be encouraging as an American, the response that we've seen from people that identify as Trump voters. This thing from Dave Smith, I don't think we should take that as a small win. I think that's indicative of his audience to a certain degree as well. His willingness to be able to criticize Trump in that way is kind of rare when we look at the media, and I think that's something that we should appreciate and really.
Hell yeah.
I love it. I love it.
One thing that I want to say is that's something that I always actually applauded Biden for, is with Israel, with Ukraine. He ruined it.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, let's let make his case.
We never had troops on the ground.
Oh yeah.
So it's we were aiding our ally, and we were just saying, hey, listen, we're giving you the means. Yes, we're funding, and yes, we're doing all that. We're doing what we're supposed to, but we're not we're not physically participating.
And we're bullshitting though the American people, and they were like what they mentioned earlier, the whole Biden's really upset, he's pissed off because he just got off the phone with BB. They thought that theater that they were kind of performing for us just was really
stop it.
It was insulting.
Cut it out.
It was insulting. Well, it's just like, no, actually stand on what is right. The reason we don't have boots on the ground is because we know that that's a red line, because it's just wrong. So that's going to be a point to where we're going to say, no, hell no, we're not going to go in that direction. It's where they're basically, this is where it becomes politicking, is where it's like they're willing to take it all the way up into the edge until it has some political cost to them.
True that.
And that's what Biden and them were doing, in my opinion. So it's that they were as complicit as they could be with feeling like they were being safe politically. But
here, a fair take.
Yeah. Either way, let's go ahead and get into this last thing.
What do you think about this one point though? Dave said that Israel's attacking 6 of their neighbors, and they're the only one with nukes.
Yeah. Attacking them at different times. And I mean, I don't know what the question is, because obviously, I mean, I could give you like Israel's argument. I think Israel's full of shit, and I think they're looking for any reason to just wage war throughout the region, because I think there is a level of fear that's not completely misplaced from their perspective, but it's because for 2 wars you've been waging a war that is insanely unethical in every way. It's a completely offensive, unethical war. You had the initial attack, which at that time we were doing these live streams consistently, and I remember saying, like, I understand their need to defend themselves and to return fire in that situation, but I mean, now we're talking about a situation where we were looking at earlier, is like 55,000 people have been killed. and they're saying that Hamas is still active in the area. So it's like, how many of those people are just citizens who didn't deserve to have that kind of wrath brought upon them? And they hit on this like Bibi Netanyahu did earlier, where he's like, I love the Iranian people. Well, there's some truth to that, because any of us that can be honest, we know that there's tons of those citizens that just are living their everyday life. They own some small business or whatever the fuck they do for a living, and they're just trying to get by. And then you have a small portion of any country, basically, and we have it here as well, where you have, and I think that's part of why we're going to war, because you have these robber barons who just want to suck all of the fucking monetary value they can out of the economy and just do a wealth distribution to the top consistently. And, you know, at some point, I think that has to be enough of a problem for us to politically get activated. I think things like this, though, are pushing us in that direction ultimately. And I think I honestly think it'll ultimately be a good thing if we can weather the storm. But there's no doubt, like, we're going through a storm.
Do you guys not think that they're just trying to expand their territory?
Israel? Well, I think all the wars are a little bit different. I think some of them are based around that. So with Gaza, with Lebanon a little bit, they want to have some kind of like buffer zone by the West Bank. So, you know, some of it has to do with that, but it's like, I don't think that's the case with Iran. I think if I'm being as generous as possible to them, I think they think that Iran helps enable those other like terrorist groups around them to operate. So that's why they're going directly to war with Iran. You know, that might even be true either way.
Timing, man.
Yeah,
Bad timing.
It's just ultimately you have to come to the table. You negotiate with your enemies. Like, that's what diplomacy is. It's not about like talking to your best friends about sports, which is about what we're about to do.
Let's do it.
You know, it's about having those really, really uncomfortable conversations that ultimately lead to saving human life.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you don't have those conversations and you just, you know, you're just quiet, then you have, I mean, think about all the Russians who have quietly fucking died in holes, because I mean, there's just no end to that. There's just no end to that conflict. The focus isn't even on the diplomacy part of it. And from Ukraine's standpoint too, like we were talking about, I don't know exactly who I was talking about with this, but with Zelensky, where he's saying like, I mean, he's come around on this. He's been willing to negotiate with Russia now, but he was saying we can't negotiate with Russia. They can't be trusted, basically. Yeah, and there's some truth to that. I get that. But it's like, no, we have to get past actions. Like, we have to deal with the present and what it is today. So either way,
let me get his ass up out of there too.
Yeah, let me get to this last thing. I appreciate everybody. I just want to warn everybody that's been in here rocking with us heavy with the political topics. We are about to go to a sports topic, so it's going to be a shift. So
LeBron James, baby.
If you're not into sports, I respect it. If you end up clicking off thank you, though, before you go, make sure you subscribe. If you are into sports and you want to kick it with us and listen to us talk about this topic here before we get out of here, it's going to be LeBron.
It's funny. Yeah, I don't know.
I knew it.
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all.
Okay, all right. Hold on, guys. All right.
Come on, bro. I
know. I'm trying
to listen to the king talk.
Let's not talk over the video calling him a pussy.
I will never call another man king in my life.
Well, I call King James and King Derrick Henry. Those are the two.
Those are your two kings.
Have some pride, brother.
I do. I have a lot of pride in those two. Let's go.
By the way, sticking their rainbow in you, huh? Getting to the end of the rainbow.
All right. Let me just play the fucking video, bro. I'm sticking this rainbow. What the
Get that pot of gold, brother.
All right.
It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything. You sit here and you tell me, you know, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash. Put your goddamn hand down. Why did Steve Nash raise his fucking hand?
He's naming a bunch of bums.
Like, you better mention. No, but it's crazy that he raised his hand. Like, you better mention me. You got to let him just mention me.
Say hey.
Yeah, after he says Steve Nash, then you go, oh yeah, that's me.
Steve Nash got 2 MVPs. You don't
LeBron James mention me. Isn't that kind of crazy a little bit? Like,
they're just having a conversation.
This is the most corniest bitch shit I've ever seen.
Okay. So,
These two are literally sitting here trying to justify the failures in their careers. It's crazy. I've never seen. This is why Michael Jordan's come back to broadcasting right here for bitch ass shit like this.
All right, let's get to the end of the video. Then you can
Jordan's already said he's doing it to shut guys like you up. But go ahead.
No, he's doing it to shut this bitch ass.
Unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys is because this guy won 1 ring or won 2 rings or won like. It's just weird to me. It's like saying
it does sound like he's about to cry a little bit in his voice.
Bro,
like
you
shaking,
should.
bro.
You should.
It's shaking a little bit.
It's called emotion, brother.
He should retire. He should retire. He's
Peyton
literally
Manning
tarnishing his legacy every time he speaks.
Can't be in the same room with Brady or Mahomes because he only has one ring. They don't never discuss that in these sports.
I think it's
That's how
Or
it
telling
works.
me that Dan Marino is not the greatest slinger of all time.
Say it again.
Why do you say slinger? Like
Slang of the ball.
Who'd he say? Who'd he say?
Dan Marino is the best slanger of the ball.
Yeah, then he said slinger like he was saying that shit at a Diddy party.
Yeah, we can say he's one of the best throwers of the football, but we're not saying he's the greatest quarterback of all time. There's the difference.
You know, but
it's a cuck, bro.
We're gonna get into it.
Okay.
I'm gonna let the thing run out. But I mean, I just want to point out, like, we do keep those guys in separate rooms from Brady and Mahomes a lot of time. But let's go ahead.
I
Let's
don't
go
keep
ahead.
him away.
All right, let's go.
No,
Or he can't be in the room with those guys because he didn't win a championship. They don't discuss those things, you know.
No, we do.
I don't know. I don't know. Did Barry Bonds win a World Series? I don't think so.
He's the best.
I don't think so. Barry Bonds never won a World Series, and you can't sit here and tell me that he's not the greatest baseball player to ever touch a bat.
No, we do say that.
Not the greatest baseball player to ever touch a bat.
He's the best hitter.
I mean, Jerry West, I think, went to like 9 straight NBA finals.
Right.
And,
The logo.
and was only able to win 1.
He fucking lost.
And he's the logo of our league.
Yeah.
So you can't sit here and tell me that, okay, well, because he only won 1, the guy can't be in the same
This
room
dude
with the guy
celebrates
who won
being a
2 or 3 or 4. Like, why not? This guy, he's our logo.
Look at that goofball fucking smile at the end.
Goofy, bro.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Y'all so
No, he
wild.
does play himself. Like, that's why it's like
Bro,
this kind of time for him to retire. I'll be honest.
He needs to retire,
so
bro.
wild.
It's just as
He
long as
sounds so
the longer he
soft.
sticks around, the more it's just like, oh my god, you're a fucking joke. Why are you on this fucking podcast? Like, because, and I'll pass it to Paul. I want to hear your opinion on it because we've been kind of going in on it a little bit. But in my opinion, I'm not saying everybody keeps those people out of the conversations, but generally, when you're having like greatest quarterback of all time conversations, people are gonna say, like, fuck no, you can't put Peyton Manning in there because you have to contend with Brady, who can contend with the numbers to a certain degree, and then also has the championships. Like, that does matter. He's kind of only problem I have really with it is like it is kind of like a victim thing where he's like, why do they apply this standard to us? I'm not saying it's and they don't do it to other sports. I'm not saying it isn't slightly an unfair metric to judge people's like personal abilities off of, but it's just the kind of like acting as if we don't do this exact same thing with other sports.
We do it with soccer, bro, which is one of the hardest sports to win a World Cup. You know what I'm saying? To win a Ballon d'Or, to win the Champions League final. We did it to Messi. We did it to Messi. What the fuck is this dude complaining about? Huh?
I think majority of people think Messi's the best ever.
Yeah, but they wouldn't give it to him because he never won the World Cup. And then he finally did it. Then everybody's like solidified. Yeah, he's the greatest ever. Then they were like, yeah, there's fuck Ronaldo. He's the greatest ever. But that's the bro. LeBron is literally 4 and 6 in the finals.
Oh my god, bro, get over it.
Come on, bro.
Bro,
He
get
went
over
to the
it,
finals
bro.
10 times, and he's talking about Jerry West. Talk about yourself. You went 10 times.
He won
nigga.
4, bro. Okay, first of all, see, it's when
That's a losing record, by the way,
disingenuous
Paul.
in the conversation.
No, it's not
Okay.
disingenuous.
How many seasons did Michael Jordan play?
12.
So the guy was, I think he played more than 12 seasons.
I don't fucking know. I thought he played 12. You
But-
guys said he took time off. He took
Yeah, but I mean, he
2 years off.
played until he was like 40.
Well,
But
he came back after.
but the guy only won 6. I mean, not only he won 6 titles, but there's a lot of years where he didn't even make it to
Michael
a
Jordan
final.
dominated. Okay,
He didn't
listen.
get past the first round.
Here's the thing.
So
Michael
again,
Jordan
when you're
didn't
talking
leave
about-
his team. He didn't leave his team and go run to another one. This is the problem with LeBron fans. Y'all like to act like this man didn't go ring chase his whole career, and now he's turning around talking about how rings don't matter. Get the fuck out of here. I watched you leave Cleveland to go to Miami to get a ring, right? You said
No,
you
he's
were
saying
going to
they
win
shouldn't
6.
matter. He's saying they shouldn't matter. His actions only prove that he's acknowledging that the whole ring thing does matter. It's not him saying like, oh, well, this is how sports should be judged. He's not You understand the difference there? He's not making that kind of proclamation by going along with that. He's only acknowledging maybe what he thinks is an unfair standard in his sport, which is that the rings, do matter to the people that discuss it.
And it matters. Winning matters in every sport. We only remember the winners. He's full of shit, dude. You only remember the win. You only remember the people that win the gold medals. You only remember the people that win the championships. You don't remember the people that were the runner-ups. Well, you know what they call second place? The first loser. That's what they call that.
Few times I remember them. Let's let Paul hop in here and say whatever you got to say, Paul. Go ahead.
More people know who Dan Marino is than John Kitna, or what's the guy? Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
Yeah. But all right, so look, okay. The reason why I feel like he's correct in this argument is, one, it's a team game. Again, when you look at team games, championships are team accomplishments. When you have a guy like LeBron James, who's number 1 all time in points, he's he's like top 10 in assists, top 25 in rebounds all time. And then Michael Jordan isn't top 100 in rebounds, isn't top 50 in assists, and isn't top what is he in points? 3?
Yeah, I think so. Then Will Chamberlain was number 1.
So when you have someone where
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was number 1,
where LeBron is clearly the best all-around basketball player of all time, and the conversation only reverts back to, he's 4-6. He's 4-6 in the finals. So you mean to tell me that the guy takes his team to the ultimate game, takes it all the way down to the end because he loses to the other greatest team in the league, is discredited? It doesn't matter. It doesn't count. He can't be the greatest because he lost. He lost to the greatest team ever assembled.
No, he didn't. He lost. You know who he lost to? I'll tell you the teams he lost to.
While his teammates get hurt.
He lost to the old ass Spurs. Got his ass gentleman swept. He got his ass swept by the Mavs, embarrassed by Dirk Nowitzki knocking his ass, and short ass JJ Barea, who's 5'5", right? They couldn't stop JJ Barea, who's 5'5", bro. Dude going off for 20 points in the second half and shit, right? Then he came and lost to Steph Curry and a no-name Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. No one was talking about them boys when he lost the first time. He literally came in as the favorite, and then Kyrie got hurt. Right, and then he couldn't win. But see, here's the thing:
his other players of the other star on his team got hurt.
So here's the thing. But Kevin Love
didn't win it by himself.
He still had Kevin Love though. So what was his excuse? You still had Kevin Love, who's the 20.
What was his excuse? Did he not lead both teams in points, rebounds, assists, and steals throughout that series? Both teams, and then in the next series do the same thing, and then in the next series do the same thing. Like that's where the conversation becomes.
What series are you talking about?
When he played the Warriors.
He did it in the series when he played Golden State.
He did it back to back against Golden State, where he led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, and then the 1 year was steals. So
I can't argue those stats.
Where it becomes disingenuous is when we act as if it's a massive letdown on his career and this huge blemish on the guy's career, and he
went to four different teams.
He is not the best ever. Let's have a real conversation. You want to say Michael's the best ever? Fine,
dude. He's not the best ever. Opinion. When you look at the careers, Paul, one guy stayed with one team, and at one point, no one could win a fucking championship for 6 years. There were 6 years no one could win a championship. No one could win a damn MVP, a first team at shooting guard, a first team at defensive player, scoring champ.
I love this. Real quick, here, let me just butt in just because I love this conversation.
The conversation with Michael Jordan is not
hold on. But we can have this conversation honestly another time. This is an evergreen conversation. LeBron versus Michael Jordan. I think let's even take it off of LeBron James. I want you to do that with me, Paul.
Yeah.
Because he is the conduit. He's the person having the conversation. But I think he has a better argument than most that he should still be in the GOAT conversation, even with this like kind of like ring worship, because he still has 4 championships.
4.
Yeah, so it's like I think is purposefully using other people as examples. I still think, if I'm being honest, that he's kind of like simping for himself a little bit in this video, and he's kind of like beating around the bush by using other examples. But I would actually respect his argument more if he used himself as an example. I think that's a way better example. But when you start saying like the Steve Nash, like yeah, Steve Nash is in a different room than Michael Jordan. Charles Barkley is in a different room than Michael Jordan. And another reason why I think it's kind of unfair, and I will just want to ask you this and take it away from Jordan versus LeBron. I mean, wouldn't you agree that we do that in the NFL? Because that's his argument he's making. He's saying they don't do that in other sports. And I'm saying they absolutely do.
They do, 100%.
What did Deion Sanders say? He said he's in a different Hall of Fame room than everybody else with them.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Well, here, let Paul go ahead.
No, we do the same thing because with Brady, it was always, again, before Brady, it was Montana.
Exactly.
And it was Montana because how many rings he had.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah.
Everyone knew LA was a better quarterback. Everyone knew that Marino was more talented than Montana.
Bro.
It's not disrespect to Joe Montana to say someone's fucking better.
You just want to slander a Notre Dame man. I get it. You just want to take a shot at a Notre Dame man. I feel you.
But I think it's but it's a great addition to this conversation because it does bring it even past the modern conversation. So I think it's great that you mentioned that because it shows that we've been doing this we've been doing it forever. And then you have some people who are like me who go, all right, well, let's break down the nuance of it and say, well, God damn, the guy played with like 11 Hall of Famers, arguably the best coach of all time.
LeBron James,
a coach who went ahead and created a type of offense in the West Coast offense that translates even to today's game, where the Shanahan tree is an extension off of that.
Yeah.
And it's like to where you can sit there and say, well, Joe Montana is the most winningest. And that's, I think, the conversation where it should be had is who's the most dominant player? Okay, well, Shaq is arguably the most dominant player of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, who's the winning it? Who's the best winner? You can sit there and say, well, Michael Jordan has these accolades and these statistics. And then when you say, well, who's the overall best player? That's where you can have another conversation where you take away the team accomplishment and you just strip down the player for itself.
And it's not close.
I don't think you could. I disagree slightly. I agree with most of what you said, but it's like I disagree with removing the championship aspect because where I agree it shouldn't be the end all be all. I think that there are kind of like that does say a lot about what a player is willing to do, especially if they're a constant. So like in Tom Brady's case, he didn't join a team and then win a bunch of championships. And I'm not even trying to shit on LeBron intentionally here, but I'm just saying like you can give him credit for those championships. I think that's fair. Not solely, not like nobody else gets any credit, but it's like if you're going to discuss GOAT, you can't remove that. Tom Brady's case is largely based around that, and I think that's fair to say in that case.
Yeah. Him constantly winning and then expanding. Again, him doing it for a 10-year stretch and then a 10-year stretch was as impressive as it gets.
Yeah.
But that's where like the argument, and again, where it's a sports conversation. And where it doesn't have to be the exact because there is no exact answer.
But do you see the difference with Brady and LeBron though? Where Brady at the end of his career was actually like competing for championships and was like you could see a serious path to him winning one. Whereas LeBron, since like his last championship in Cleveland, it has not looked like he's been close.
He won in LA.
Yeah,
I'm a Lakers fan.
I can tell you.
As a Lakers fan, if that championship was in the bubble, we weren't winning it. I'm telling you right now.
You go against what every player in the NBA says, though.
Yeah.
That's what, dude. That's where it's so.
Didn't make the conversation is dishonest. We didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think LeBron deserves some credit because the thing is, like similar to Tom Brady, where I don't think you can take the championships from Tom Brady. I think with LeBron, he proved in his own way that he was able to bring that kind of like championship mentality or focus to a bunch of different spots. And I think that deserves its own credit. That's why I think LeBron does belong in the greatest of all time conversation. That's why I disagree with his like little soliloquy. I think when we start to talk about like who's the best facilitator of all time, then that's where Steve Nash belongs in that conversation. I think it's appropriate to bring him up. And I think that is a crazy for us to act like that's not enough respect to give to these athletes. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying like with Steve Nash, we're talking about like these people should be involved in the greatest of all time conversation. Steve Nash like this, it like just kind of lets me know, in my opinion, like his self-awareness is fucking
is it just the greatest of all time conversation or just the all-time great
we
conversation?
don't care about everything else. We care who the best was.
Because I know a lot of people who won't put Steve Nash as one of the best point guards of all time because he didn't win.
Yeah.
Or you have,
or because he wasn't close to being the best point guard in the league. They broke. Listen, sometimes the NBA is a business, and you have to understand when you had Shaq and Kobe in their prime, and you got Steve Nash winning MVPs. There's an issue because Steve Nash wasn't the one winning championships at the time. He wasn't winning MVPs of the NBA Finals.
Steve Nash won an MVP over LeBron, where LeBron definitely deserved it. We know that. Yeah. They both know that. No, what?
No, over Kobe and Shaquille O'Neal in their prime.
No, the one forget which, because Steve Nash won an MVP. I want to say the same year that LeBron.
That's who he won his MVPs over, Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, I think either way, it's like so. Like I said, with this conversation, I don't know. So it seems like kind of where we're landing. It's
Didn't you see when Kyrie told Steve Nash to give Kobe his trophies?
Yeah, that's crazy. Kyrie, a truth teller all the way back. He back when he had the Israelites outside of the fucking Barclays, his fucking his suspension. That was crazy.
2004, 2005 MVP. Everyone expected LeBron to win it that year, but it was Nash won it.
Okay.
But the conversation gets fun when you can sit there and say, man, could you imagine if Marino had the Buffalo teams that Jim Kelly had?
Sure.
Could you imagine if you give this player a defense or if you give this player this? And it's like, yeah, it becomes a conversation where you can sit there and say, well, yeah, maybe this player was arguably better than somebody who was more successful.
You know why I can't give LeBron a
matters,
pass, bro?
scheme matters.
I think that's
everything matters.
But
and
that's not LeBron's excuse, though.
I think that's not being totally honest about what the GOAT conversation is, though. I think what you're saying is completely fair. Real sports fans are going to get into that. You know, like best route runner of all time, who had the quickest, like all this kind of stuff. And I think in these conversations, it may not always be the same person, and it's fair to, like, if you want to talk about the most live arm of all time and you want to put Dan Marino in that conversation over Tom Brady, I would support that, and I would be interested to hear that conversation. But it's just, it's like it's a little bit of a stretch.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Was he flat out saying GOAT? Because there's no way anyone puts Charles Barkley in the GOAT conversation.
Well, I think he's just
the all-time best forwards or best players. Yeah, he's a top 30 player.
But can I say how bad? Can I say how, like,
that's
we look at this? Because, like, I think the concept is, for me at least, how I look at it is the rings. There's like tiers, right? And the rings the more rings you have, the more tiers you go up. And based off with LeBron, right? If we're comparing him to players, I'm not comparing him to Kobe or Jordan because he's still on the fourth floor. Okay. Once you get to the fifth floor, now I can compare your resume.
That's your opinion, brother. I respect
that. For me, for superstars, I'm talking about for superstar players, like the Magic Johnsons,
we got
the Kareems, the Wilt Chamberlains. That's how I look at it. Like that's why for me, Wilt Chamberlain, everybody like, oh, he's so great. No, because Bill Russell.
Support your right to make the argument. I just think if other people want to introduce LeBron into the argument, it's not like completely crazy.
No, I don't mind it. He's got four. Like I said, he's got four, but like obviously with 4 rings, you're in that GOAT conversation, right? Once you get past 3, that puts you in a whole different tier. You're up.
This is generally the conversation. I can let you just go. I'm just gonna wrap it up. I don't know if you want to wait. It should only be 5, but you know how it goes. I just want to thank everybody.
What I was gonna say is it's just you can see why LeBron was saying it because he's only talking about rings. Rings are the only thing that matters apparently because LeBron with 4 is on level or is on tier
level
4.
Yeah,
but like, the
all-time stat.
It's literally the thing all-time about Jordan, which makes Jordan
and every
great.
Accolade that comes with it. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
I mean, bro, but the
How much
rings
did you
matter.
win?
The rings are the first part of the conversation, dog. That's the first part of the conversation. How did you win? How dominant were you? How
Fair
did
enough,
you win?
brothers. Hey, let's just
That's
couch
it.
this. This is a conversation for another day that we will definitely get back to. It's getting late. I want to respect everybody's time. And we had a great pod though tonight. We had a lot of people get in here. Thank you. We had over 70 people in here at a time at one point. So we were definitely rocking. I appreciate everybody that popped in here, especially the people that got in the chat as well. Because you're confirming to me that you're not bots. Some of those people might have been bots. I'm not mad at it. Once again, Iran, if you want to go ahead and just, donate to your boy, it is what it is. It was about the podcast. We're doing good work. Wiggy Wom, shout out to you. Definitely rocked with us heavy for hours, honestly. Shout out to you, Heavy. I'm glad that you have. I tried. If you're comfortable, hop on camera one of these days. We'd love to have you on here. You have really good perspective, and I'm curious about your position on this whole conflict as it continues to develop. Kenny Powder, shout out to you. Thank you for coming in here early and getting things kicked off. Demir was another one. My brother had to go to work earlier in the chat. We went to go ahead and shout out to him. He got in here. He came. This is the first question he asked us, dude. He said, "Do you approve war on Iran?"
Bro, 3 minutes into it.
3 minutes in, they were like, we were just sitting here kind of chopping it up. I'm like, Paul B. Balcom goes. It was like, look, war on Iran. Yes or fucking no. Should we continue to watch you assholes?
All right. I agree.
Yeah, he hit us with the bravo. So shout out to him. And then he had to get back to work though. Who knows? I can't say for sure if he's
security guard,
if he's Hezbollah or not. He might have had to clock in for a shift on the wall, but no, shout out to Demir. I fuck with Demir heavy. He was really cool. AAG, shout out to you, brother. Also came through, had a lot of great insight through the whole kind of thing, and about, as it had to do with the political topic specifically. I fuck with you heavy. Thank you for rocking with us for the a long time too. Was in here for honestly hours rocking with us. I really appreciate that.
Beyond, I thought he left.
I thought so too. Got a little quiet,
and then later on, I was like, "Oh,
yeah." Came back with some more facts when they decided that they needed to add to the conversation. They hopped back in, and they did every time. Another one, I would love to have you guys up here. Like I said, you had a great perspective on the whole thing. Shady Fig Tree as well. No mother. Oh yeah, this was funny. This had to do with the thumbnail. That's when they popped in and said no mothers, groups, or children running around on the Death Star as it pertained to the thumbnail. So yeah, I appreciate you appreciating the thumbnail there. AAG and we had Wiggy still getting in here cutting up. I appreciate y'all. This was our fucking Hindu bot. Possibly they never addressed the allegations of being a bot. But it's all good. They came through with the fucking Dharma lessons. Yeah. Look, bro, look at this. Deuce, he said, eventually we will enter an era of tranquility and peace in exact proportion to the present discord. The violence and hatred of today will be transmuted into goodwill.
Yeah, he said we're all going to hell.
After this shit blows up, there'll be nothing to worry about. Christina, thank you for coming through and saying Tucker Carlson was her hero. That's why we're watching the Tucker Carlson video. And honestly, he did some heroic shit. I can't even be mad at it.
I'm gonna go watch that full video now.
I can't say he's a hero, but he did some heroic shit. He did stand on business. And then we had Zanab. Ooh, look, man, we need to get some.
Hey, where was your algorithm tonight? You know what I'm saying? Was it in Pakistan or something? Though?
Yeah, they cracked it, right, bro. I'm telling you, I might have got some Persian money came through and fucking boosted the algo. I appreciate, and like I said, I'm not gonna tell him to stop. I'm not gonna tell him to stop. I will continue to tell the truth, Iran. But Israel, if you want me to make an about face. You know where to hit me in the Cash App, okay? We could change this shit tomorrow. I could put a white and blue flag behind me like I'm fucking Ted Cruz, the Zodiac.
Don't deport me.
Yeah, Jay. No, but hey, if we started supporting Israel, we couldn't be supported, man. We'd be bulletproof. Jay was in here heavy with us. Jay, you got to hop on the cam one of these times, man. I like talking to you on KC stream. So yeah, I know you have something to offer and good perspective here. Cold Cuts came in here and said, "What the fuck are y'all talking about? Iran does not have nukes." That was to you, Jay. You already know that happened a little bit earlier in the stream. But like I said, I love the discourse in the chat. Muhammad came through, bro. Hey. I don't give a fuck what happened. Like I said, taking Israel out of the fucking title, it saved us tonight, man. It saved us. It put us in a whole new tax bracket. Jakey Wakey, I fuck with you. Shout out to Jakey Wakey coming through late on the stream, but coming through nonetheless. WW Storm, all you guys that hopped in and like I said, decided to add a comment tonight and add to the conversation. I just want to shout y'all out, say thank you. And like I said, anybody that's viewing this now, viewed this in the past, hopefully you hit subscribe so you can catch more of our stuff. Paul B. Balcom B. Paul, catch him on social media, Instagram, Twitter. That's the main places to catch him out. And he will share his views on there, and you will get to argue with him on there.
Always.
And he'll engage. He will engage. And then Deuce Andretti, find him, Deuce Andretti on X specifically. I don't know, is there anywhere else they can find you, Deuce?
Find me on X, find me on Threads, find me on OnlyFans, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. There you go. Bopping his bussy on the camera.
Bopping that bussy.
Yeah. And then for me, Sit and Politic on all platforms, mainly Instagram and X, I would say would be a good way to connect with me. If you want to hop on the pod, we can discuss some shit. Or just to say, hey, you know, we appreciate what y'all are doing, or to say fuck what y'all are doing. It's Israel all day long, whatever you want to say. Just don't come see me in person about it. But hey, much love. Thank y'all again. Like I said, we are out. Sit and Politic. Let's get that shit going. Just
Sit and Politic, baby.
Sit and Politic.